Chapter 17. Young man, don't be so ignorant. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes and glanced at Guogua. His originally small triangular eyes instantly became a slit, and his whole person became more and more sinister. He was only in his 40s, and he was actually called a stinky old man. Naturally, he was unhappy in his heart. Guogua felt a chill in her heart, and quickly hid behind Su Yun. So what? Su Yun patted Guogua lightly, which immediately made her feel more secure. If he wanted to fight today, it would be fine even if he beat him to death. If Qinwan knew that this old man was the mastermind behind her kidnapping, she might blame him for not beating him hard enough. The middle-aged man suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Su Yun, although I, Wang Xuanxi, am not some Hudong overlord, in the Wenhui district, I am still the master who can shake 3 times with a stomp of my feet. If you are willing to follow me, I guarantee that you will have a meteoric rise. A dignified man with aspirations to travel far. Are you willing to stay in such a small restaurant? What's wrong with this? I think it's not bad. Su Yun crossed his legs and said, I have food and drink here. Don't waste your breath with me. We are good people, and we are definitely not in the underworld. If you don't get lost, I will really beat you. Wang Xuanqi still did not give up and said unwillingly, Brother, as long as you are willing to follow me, I will let you eat and drink every day. I will give you whatever kind of woman you want. Brother, I have already given you enough face. Face. Su Yun shook his head, and crossed his legs and bounced up and down. How much for 500 grams? Wang Xuanqi snorted and stood up. He no longer had the patience to talk to Su Yun. Su Yun, I will give you a few days to think about my proposal. Otherwise, let's wait and see. I didn't hit you today because I'm in a good mood. Next time, you won't get the same treatment. Su Yun snorted and threw a word at Wang Xuanqi. Get lost. No matter what, Wang Xuanqi was a big gangster, but he still suppressed his anger. He knew that Su Yun was a talent. If the Fourth Wolf Gang could get such a strong member, they could easily take over the entire Hudong city, let alone the Blade and Axe Society, and the Hero Society becoming the biggest gang in the Wenhui district. The boss of the Four Wolves Gang left in a sorry state. Guogua secretly rejoiced that she and her mother had hugged such a thick thigh. Of course, it wasn't that easy for Wang Xuanqi to leave. After a few minutes, the 2 front tires burst at the same time. The car lost control and spun around on the spot, crashing into a number of cars. The driver was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He thought that someone had opened fire. Wang Xuanqi buried his head in his pants, thinking that his enemy had come to seek revenge. On the sidewalk, Cho Yun raised her cold face and snorted. She threw away the remaining 2 pebbles in her hand, and left the scene in a flash. Because of the Fourth Wolf Gang's official declaration of war, Wan Qingshuang and Guogua both felt the existence of danger. Su Yun didn't think much of it. The Fourth Wolf Gang's provocation was tantamount to seeking death. Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun alone was enough to make them suffer. Su Yun, can you live in the restaurant from now on? Wan Qingshuang finally spoke. She only spoke because she felt that they could take care of each other. Besides, she knew that she couldn't protect Guogua at all. Su Yun's eyes lit up when he heard that. Although the Fourth Wolf Gang was a mob, it gave him a legitimate reason to live in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Okay, then I'll move in tomorrow. I'm also worried that the Fourth Wolf Gang will harm you. Why do you have to wait until tomorrow? Just stay today. Guogua pulled Su Yun and whispered. Mom usually wears very little after taking a bath at night. Oh. What nonsense are you talking about? Wan Qingshuang's face turned red. Guogua waved her small hand carelessly. I'm just telling the truth. Wan Qingshuang really couldn't do anything to Guogua. The scene of her being exposed yesterday once again appeared in Su Yun's mind. Su Yun's heart suddenly brightened, but he firmly denied it. Guogua, I'm only living in the restaurant to protect your safety. Do you believe me? Hee Dad. Why don't you tell me the truth? Guogua's eyes turned slyly. Guogua would rather believe a sow can climb a tree. Su Yun was instantly petrified. Wan Qingshuang was speechless. She turned around and went upstairs to tidy up Su Yun's room near the staircase and an east-facing window. In fact, it didn't matter to Su Yun where he slept. As long as he had a place to meditate, it was fine. Su Yin said goodbye first. He also hurried back to his residence to tidy up his daily necessities. In fact, there wasn't anything important. The only thing he had was his backpack full of treasures. In less than an hour, Su Yin came back. At this time, Wan Qingshuang had already helped Su Yin to tidy up his bed. This room was definitely moving in with the backpack. Mom, Guogua is sleepy. Guogua yawned. After Mom helps Uncle Su Yin tidy up, I will accompany Guogua to sleep, okay? Wan Qingshuang smiled and patted Guogua's head. Guogua didn't appreciate it. Oh, we just started living together. Can't you wait to do some adult things? F***CK. Is she really only 7 years old? Su Yin almost vomited blood. Wan Qingshuang's mouth twitched. She was completely defeated by this little brat. Mom will accompany you to sleep now. Wan Qingshuang had no choice. She smiled bitterly at Su Yin. You can tidy up the rest yourself. Of course. What else could Su Yin do? He had to tidy it up himself. Otherwise, not only would he not get any benefits, but he would also be accused of messing around by Guogua. Wouldn't that be a great injustice? After Su Yin tidied up, he took a quick shower. Then, he calmed down and completed the breathing exercises that his master had instructed him to do. Wang Xuanxi returned to his residence from the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He found that there was no light in the house. He cursed in his heart. That little B***TCH went somewhere to cause trouble again. Just as he walked to the door, Wang Xuanxi angrily glared at him. The door was kicked open. After all, he was an old gangster who had been in the underworld for many years. His heart sank as he strode into the room. Who is it? Ha ha ha, brother, how are you these days? A man's rough voice laughed. When Wang Xuanxi heard this voice, his whole body shivered. He looked towards the source of the voice and saw a bare-chested burly man sitting on the sofa. The burly man had a shocking scar on his face. Canary, who was his mistress, was tortured to the point of dying. Why is this devil here? Brother, don't you remember your brother? I thought of you as soon as I came to Hudong. The man's eyes were cold. Ha ha ha, brother, your taste is getting better and better. This girl is so good. Brother Mountain Cat. How do you have time to come to Hudong? Wang Xuanxi was a big shot in Hudong City. He had never been afraid of anyone. Yet he stuttered in front of this man. He didn't even dare to let out half a fart when he saw his woman being tortured like a pile of mud. This was because Wang Xuanxi knew very well that even if there were 10 or 100 of him, he was just an ant in the eyes of the underground world's masters. They could easily crush him to death. Because I know you are here in Hudong. The burly man's eyes flashed. Wherever you are, there will be women to play with. Ha ha ha. Mountain Cat was a famous master in the underground world. These people usually mingled in big cities like Yanjing, Suang, Hujiang, and Guangzhou. Why would they suddenly come to Hudong City? Brother Mountain Cat, you really know how to joke. Ha ha, if you need any help, just let me know. Wang Xuanxi was the local tyrant in the Four Wolves gang, but in front of Mountain Cat, he was nothing but a grandson. He knew very well that even though Mountain Cat called him brother, if he offended Mountain Cat, only death awaited him. Mountain Cat patted the dying woman lying beside him. Brother's little lover has already helped me. Ha ha ha, I just want to ask you a few questions. Wang Xuanxi was relieved. If he could feed this guy with a woman, it wouldn't be a big problem. Ask. I'll tell you everything I know. Brother, you're a local. Have you noticed any single women with children recently? Mountain Cat said as he took out 2 photos from his shirt pocket and threw them on the table. Wang Xuanxi picked up the photos respectfully. The woman in the first photo was cold and beautiful. She was a stunner in the world. If he had seen her, he would definitely remember her. He shook his head and picked up the second photo. When he saw the innocent little girl with a pure smile, Wang Xuanxi's eyes lit up instantly. Wasn't this the damned girl from the medicinal cuisine restaurant who called him a stinky old man? Seems like brother has seen the person in the photo. Mountain Cat noticed the change in Wang Xuanxi's eyes and smiled in his heart. Yes, I've seen this little girl before. She was in the medicinal cuisine restaurant on Donglin Street in Iha Square. Wang Xuanxi nodded happily, hoping that his information could keep Mountain Cat in a good mood. Are you sure? Mountain Cat's eyes were cold. It's really this little girl? Wang Xuanqi was very sure. I'm sure. Very sure. Mountain Cat stood up and put on his jacket with a cold smile. He said to Wang Xuanqi without any trace of politeness, "Brother, thank you for your woman. Remember to tell me when you change such a stunner. Ha ha ha, our tastes are too similar. That's why I recognize you as my brother. Ha ha. Ha ha, of course. Ha, of course, of course." Wang Xuanqi could only smile apologetically. Mountain Cat ignored Wang Xuanqi's flattery and strode away. He didn't even look at the woman on the sofa, who was almost in shock. Right now, there was only one thought in his mind. The severely injured Violent Fox Venerable was about to die. This was a good opportunity for him. If he could kill the Fox Venerable today and bring back Feng Qiansui's little princess, his status in front of the boss would definitely be elevated. Chapter 18. Deep in the night, footsteps came from the rooftop. Although the person had controlled his breath well, it still didn't escape Su Yun's ears. Soon another set of footsteps came. It was light but heavy, as if someone was seriously injured. Su Yun didn't know who the former was, but the latter was definitely Cho Yun. The footsteps came one after another. The two of them seemed to be fighting. Suddenly, the latter's footsteps retreated, as if she was at a disadvantage. It seemed that there was going to be a good show tonight. Suddenly, the two shadows on the rooftop stopped. For a moment, the whole atmosphere was so quiet that it made people feel depressed. Su Yun nimbly put on his pants, put on his singlet, slipped on his flip-flops, and jumped out of the window. He tiptoed lightly on the edge of the window. His figure flashed, and his agile figure directly jumped to the rooftop. The whole movement was silent. Su Yun, who was hiding in the shadows, saw the cold light under the moonlight. Cho Yun stood on the south side of the rooftop of the medicinal cuisine house with the long yuan sword in her hand. Her seemingly weak body was suffused with a light but fierce murderous aura. As the long yuan sword was unsheathed, the murderous aura became more and more suffocating. She didn't think that the other party would find her so quickly. The attack just now had almost exhausted all her strength. On the north side of the rooftop stood a 7 feet tall man. His tall and powerful body exuded a strong murderous aura. His eyes were like that of a ferocious beast, and the scar on his face looked particularly frightening under the moonlight. "I didn't think that you would really hide in this unknown small city. It seems that I'm lucky. They searched high and low for you, but I, Mountain Cat, found you without any effort." This person was the man named Mountain Cat, who appeared at Wang Xuanqi's residence. Mountain Cat's face was vicious. The scar on his face made people shudder. "Cho Yun, I advise you to surrender." Cho Yun's face was cold. She snorted and said disdainfully, "Mountain Cat, you dare to challenge me? You really don't know the difference between life and death." That being said, Cho Yun knew very well that she was barely holding on. If it wasn't for Mountain Cat's misgivings, she would have been defeated in the fight just now. "Humph. Cho Yun, do you still think you're the omnipotent and violent Fox Venerable from that day? Don't think I don't know your current situation. Even if I don't touch you today, you won't live for more than a few days. Why don't you obediently follow me back and be my boss's plaything slave? Who knows, maybe he will be merciful and use it to prolong your life for a few more days." Cho Yun's eyes flashed with a cold light. She really wanted to end this arrogant fellow with her sword. However, her body's condition told her that it was impossible for her to kill him in one blow. If she couldn't kill him in one blow, it was entirely possible that she would be exhausted by this second-rate master. Su Yun frowned slightly. It seemed that the fight just now had caused Cho Yun's body to break through the limit. If this continued, she would definitely die in front of this master. Cho Yun, although I, Mountain Cat, have just entered the realm of a second-rate master, I'm afraid that you, an injured Fox Venerable, can't do anything to me. I'd like to see how long you can last." Mountain Cat suddenly sneered. His boxing glove suddenly revealed 3 silver lights, revealing a claw-like weapon. That was probably how Mountain Cat got his nickname. Suddenly, Mountain Cat's body burst out a huge murderous aura. His whole body whistled and tore the quiet night sky. directly rushing towards Cho Yun. Slap! A flip-flop suddenly flew out with a sharp gust of wind and slapped Mountain Cat's face, easily stopping Mountain Cat's unstoppable attack. Who? Mountain Cat took advantage of the opportunity to roll the person back. He immediately raised his vigilance to 100%, and a sense of crisis instantly filled his whole body. He saw Su Yun standing on the edge of the roof with one leg raised. He said with a mocking smile, "Sorry, my sweaty leg was a little slippery, and I accidentally flung it out." Mountain Cat's heart stopped. This was simply a great humiliation. He calmed his heart and checked, but he couldn't detect any combat power in this young man in front of him. Where did this idiot come from? "You're asking for death." Mountain Cat's face was ferocious. It was absolutely unforgivable to be hit in the face by a flip-flop thrown by an ordinary person. He leaped into the air and rushed towards Su Yun like a hungry wolf pouncing on its prey. Su Yun, however, was indifferent and still stood on the same spot. Just as Mountain Cat pounced, a strong murderous aura suddenly burst out from Su Yun's body. The murderous aura was like a rolling river. Mountain Cat was instantly stunned. He heard a series of crackling sounds. The sharp blades on his boxing gloves were all broken by Su Yun's 2 fingers. Mountain Cat lost the weapon he was proud of in just one move. Looking at the broken blades on his boxing gloves, Mountain Cat sighed in his heart. This kid is definitely not an ordinary person. He could actually break the blades made of steel. I'd like to see how a cat without nails can catch people. Su Yun had a mocking smile on his face, and the murderous aura in his smile was faintly discernible. Mountain Cat didn't expect this person to be an expert, and an expert who was not weaker than himself at all. He suddenly felt an inexplicable panic in his heart. He really didn't expect Violent Fox Venerable to be able to invite such a strong helper. Just as Mountain Cat was distracted, Su Yun's bare foot kicked straight at him with a "ada" sound. The heel went straight for the root of the problem, and like a hammer, it smashed hard on Mountain Cat's nose. Mountain Cat's nose was instantly broken, and his gums were split open, and his face was covered in blood. But after all, he was still a second-rate expert, and he reacted quickly. He did 2 backflips to avoid Su Yun's attack range. He was very clear that a battle between experts was very dangerous, and the possibility of him winning today was very slim. It was impossible to take all the credit for himself, so the first thing he had to do was to save his life, and then call for a strong helper. He secretly reached into his pocket and took out a dark red chip, and quietly threw it in the corner of the medicinal cuisine restaurant's rooftop. However, Mountain Cat seemed to have forgotten that there was someone else on the rooftop. And that person was the most dangerous existence. Even if she was seriously injured and on the verge of death, she would always find the most opportune time to kill. Suddenly, a cold light flashed across the night sky, like a bolt of lightning smashing down from the heavens. The neck of the second-rate expert of the underground world, Mountain Cat, was instantly torn open by the Dragon Abyss flexible sword. Fresh blood instantly spurted out from the torn skin. Before he died, Mountain Cat's eyes were fixed on the dark red chip he threw in the corner, and his eyes were filled with madness and vengeance. How could a second-rate expert withstand the combined attack of Cho Yun and Su Yun? Cho Yun was too valiant in killing people, and Su Yun frowned, too cold-blooded. Su Yun hopped on one leg to find his slippers, and used his hand to draw a cross in front of his chest, and said, "Umitba, the sooner I die, the sooner I'll be reincarnated, and the sooner I'll take my revenge, and the sooner I'll take my revenge, it's none of my business." Cho Yun ignored Su Yun's nagging. She never believed in ghosts, and if there really were vengeful spirits, then there would be too many vengeful spirits looking for her for revenge. Although today it was just a second-rate expert, but it was enough to make Cho Yun feel a huge pressure and threat. She didn't think that the opponent's people would track her down so quickly, and she really didn't know what kind of people would come next. Although Cho Yun was already a first-rate expert, with her current physical condition, even a second-rate expert would have a hard time dealing with her. If it wasn't for Su Yun's help today, Cho Yun would have been exhausted by Mountain Cat and died. Thinking of this, Cho Yun couldn't help but be shocked. She didn't think that Su Yun was such a hidden expert. "You want to protect Guogua by yourself?" Su Yun threw this woman a cruel question. Thinking of the innocent Guogua in the medicinal cuisine house, Cho Yun's heart uncontrollably rose up, and she even wanted to end her own life. Then she wouldn't have to be so conflicted like now. Didn't I tell you that the medicinal cuisine restaurant is hiring waiters with a salary of 1,000 a month? Food, accommodation, and treatment are all provided. Why don't you believe me? Su Yin chuckled. Have you taken the medicine I gave you? Cho Yun's gaze towards Su Yin was no longer cold and vigilant, but full of curiosity and doubt. Who are you? Didn't I already tell you? I'm just a pitiful person who was betrayed. Su Yin raised his eyebrows. He didn't want to talk about the past. It would only make his anger sore and uncontrollable. Then why do you have the 9 treasures resurrection pill? Cho Yun was able to confront a second-rate expert like Mountain Cat today completely because of the pill yesterday. If it wasn't for the 9 treasures resurrection pill, she probably wouldn't even have the strength to defend herself, let alone kill. Su Yun was stunned. You mean the pill made with caterpillar fungus, wild ginseng, glossy ganoderma, agarwood, gecko, blood, antelope horn, deer antler, and snake? That's right. Cho Yun's expression was even more surprised. This guy could actually say the 9 treasures of the pill, but he didn't know the name of the pill? I call that thing the strength pill. Su Yun said indifferently. That thing wasn't a treasure to him. As long as he had the ingredients, he could make as much as he wanted. How is it? That thing is a little useful, right? Cho Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. The 9 treasures resurrection pill could be sold for millions in the underground world. But in this guy's mouth, it was just an ordinary strength pill. Who exactly was he? Cho Yun seemed to understand. The man in front of her clearly had more secrets than she did. She also understood the feelings of others who didn't want to talk about their own matters. Perhaps Cho Yun was especially grateful to Su Yun. She actually opened her mouth and said, "Thank you." "You're welcome, we'll be neighbors from now on." Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. Cho Yun didn't say anything else. She silently put away the Dragon Abyss flexible sword, then picked up the dead mountain cat. Su Yun didn't say anything about this. She was the one who killed him. It was better to let her clean up the battlefield. Although Su Yun was already used to bloody scenes, to be honest, he really didn't like this kind of scene. Chapter 19. Early in the morning, Su Yun was awakened by Guogua's knocking on the door. "Daddy, get up quickly. Guogua is hungry." What do you want to eat?" Su Yun got up, put on his beach pants and a singlet, and opened the door. "I'll go downstairs and see if there's anything good to eat. You go wash up first." Guogua blinked her eyes. Su Yun didn't understand what this girl meant. Su Yun patted Guogua's little head and smiled. "Then you go downstairs and wait for me. Where's your mother?" "Maybe she went downstairs. There's something wrong with the bathroom door lock. You need to use the key to open it." Guogua's big eyes suddenly flashed, and then she turned and ran downstairs. Su Yun felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what it was. He was too lazy to think about it. He went to the bathroom, twisted the key, opened the door and walked in. And now Su Yun finally knew why Guogua was acting strange. Ruan Qingshuang stood in front of Su Yun with a red face. She had just taken a shower and put on her underwear. She didn't even have time to put on her clothes. She remembered that she had locked the door. "Sister Shuang, I didn't see anything." Su Yun resisted the nosebleed that was about to spurt out, turned around and closed the door. Ruan Qingshuang's heart dropped. She quickly put on her clothes with a red face. If it wasn't for the fact that she had an appointment with Qin Wan, to go shopping, she didn't have the habit of waking up in the morning to take a shower. Ruan Qingshuang walked out of the bathroom and saw the key hanging on the door handle. She instantly understood Guogua's prank. "Ugh!" Ruan Qingshuang cried out. Guogua was so scared that she trembled, and her hand was almost squeezed by the fridge. She didn't have time to take the yogurt. She quickly ran to the door to see if Sister Wanner had arrived. Fortunately, Qin Wanner arrived at the medicinal cuisine restaurant before Ruan Qingshuang came downstairs. Qin Wanner took off her uniform. She wore a bohemian-style high-waisted dress that accentuated her slender legs. A pair of denim blue canvas shoes made her cold and elegant temperament more refreshing and lively. Ruan Qingshuang and Guogua could not help but exclaim, "So beautiful." You too. Qin Wan'er couldn't help but compliment them. Guogua was wearing a cute and fresh puffy dress, which gave off a princess-like vibe. Ruan Qingxuang was wearing a small floral dress, which also belonged to the bohemian style. Paired with a pair of fashionable flat shoes, it gave off a unique flavor. You're wearing this to do odd jobs? Isn't that too unprofessional? Su Yin also came downstairs. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. Why are you three dressed up so devilishly? Su Yin could not believe that women could be so attractive without makeup. They were the epitome of a true beauty that did not need Estée Lauder or Chanel to make up for it. Are you stunned? Qin Wan'er winked at Su Yin proudly. You've never seen a beauty before, right? You're dazzled by seeing three today, right? How is it? Does this dress look good? Ruan Qingxuang also looked at Su Yin. She was such a reserved person. Yet she actually made fun of Su Yin. It seemed that she had already forgotten what had happened upstairs. Dad, do you think Mom is prettier? Or Sister One? Guogua threw a coquettish glance at Su Yin. She twisted her undeveloped body and said coquettishly, hee, or Guogua is prettier? These three women almost electrocuted Su Yin to death. One of them was already enchanting enough, let alone three at the same time. Su Yin's soul almost left his body. Seductresses. Definitely seductresses. Fortunately, Tang Xuanzang did not meet you when he was searching for the scriptures. Otherwise he would have quit long ago. Su Yin had to give them a high score of 90 points in his heart. According to Su Yin's standard, a woman with a score of 80 and above was worth a man's life to take a bite of her. If he met a woman with a score of 90 and above, he had to take her down regardless of life or death. Su Yin's words made Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan'er giggle. They were gorgeously dressed, which made Su Yin's heart itch. Dad, can you look after the shop today? Guogua said with a smile. Guogua will also give you the economic power. Mom and I will go shopping with Sister Wan'er. Guogua has not bought beautiful clothes for a long time. Qin Wan'er also stretched out her white slender hand and waved it in front of Su Yin. Bye-bye. Thank you for your hard work, Chef Su. Even Ruan Qingxuang smiled apologetically. Su Yin, I will leave it to you today. Guogua really wants to go, and I have promised F***ck. You guys are not playing like this, right? You guys are going out to have fun without me? Su Yin looked on helplessly as the two top-grade beauties walked out of the shop with a super top-grade little girl. His heart was filled with bitterness. Today is the weekend. Am I the only one working hard on the front line? But then again, Ruan Qingxuang came to Hudong City alone to make a living. Since she had the chance to go out and relax, of course, she would go. Su Yin understood this very well. Whatever, Su Yin put on the apron. He didn't believe that he, the great Su Yin, couldn't handle a small medicinal cuisine store like this. However, the customers who came at noon did not give Su Yin a chance to be busy. When it was time to eat, customers came into the medicinal cuisine house one after another. Everyone seemed to be possessed. They asked for a free poria and mung bean soup, and found a seat to sit down and began to drink it. They didn't feel embarrassed at all. Su Yin asked many times what they wanted to eat, but no one answered him. However, the fifth customer who came in also asked for a bowl of mung bean soup. Su Yin finally realized that something was wrong. But looking at the clothes of these customers, none of them were young gangsters with tattoos. These people were all holding the free bowl of poria and mung bean soup as their staple food. They drank it bowl after bowl, feeling very comfortable. Soon the sixth customer, the seventh customer, the eighth customer, the 55th customer, the 56th customer. The seats in the medicinal cuisine shop were unknowingly filled by the army of people who came to drink the free mung bean soup. The customers who came later were helpless when they saw that there was no place to sit. They could only turn around and leave. There were only 2 hours for lunch. Su Yin was playing with the calculator in his hand, while carefully observing the customers who were sipping the poria and mung bean soup. Among these people, there were old men, young employees, and some were dressed like students. At this moment, a young man in a checkered shirt walked into the medicinal cuisine house. The young man had a sloppy face, and his skin was as white and tender as a woman's. He was followed closely by 2 burly lackeys. Su Yin knew that the main character of this drama had appeared. The young man in the checkered shirt looked at the customers first, and then looked at Su Yun, who was standing at the front desk with a faint smile. Yo boss, your business is really booming. There is no place to sit even if I want to eat. Su Yun chuckled. Don't hold back if you have something to say. Otherwise, you will get sick from holding it in. Go ahead. Okay, you are quite aggressive. The young man sneered disdainfully. Today you better remember that my name is Wang Tianguang. Wang Xuanqi of the 4th Wolf Gang is my uncle. If you offend my uncle, it is equivalent to offending me, Wang Tianguang. Do you understand? Su Yun was a little helpless. The 4th Wolf Gang was really haunting him. It seemed that this group of bastards really wanted to be destroyed. Today the old and young men have worked hard. Take the money and leave. Wang Tianguang waved his hand, and the customers who wanted to drink the mung bean soup stood up one by one. The underlings behind Wang Tianguang quickly took out the money to pay each person 100 yuan. Wang Tianguang looked at Su Yun proudly. Kid, my uncle thinks highly of you because he is old, and his temper is F***king bad. But I don't have that much patience. Don't you want to play? I will play you to death. Get lost. Su Yun spat out 2 words. He really didn't understand the meaning of this guy's actions. He paid a few thousand yuan just to let people come here and drink a pot of mung bean soup that costs very little. He was really afraid that he would be infected by this kind of retard. Wang Tianguang was furious on the spot and cursed recklessly. Do you believe that I will destroy your restaurant today? Su Yun wasn't a very patient person. Just as he was about to teach this idiot who didn't know how to spell the word die, a woman pushed the door open and walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The fairy-like woman's long hair fluttered in the wind. She was wearing a tight black t-shirt, and her proud bosom showed a perfect half-arc. Her lower body was also wearing tight and elastic black pants. Her pair of perfectly round legs would definitely make any man dumbfounded. Who else could it be if not Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun? I have thought about it. I will be a waitress here today. Cho Yun went straight to the point without any hesitation. Su Yun smiled slightly. It seemed that Cho Yun had really thought it through this time. The injured Cho Yun could only barely protect herself when facing a second-rate master alone, let alone protect Guogua. However, it was different if she followed Su Yun. Not only could there be someone to help her fight against a strong enemy, but she also had the 9 treasures revival pill to eat. Moreover, Su Yun's medical skills were superb. Perhaps he could cure her internal injuries. Wang Tianguang, who was looking for trouble, couldn't allow others to interrupt him. He immediately vented all the anger that had accumulated just now. Are you blind? Can't you see that I am talking here? Get lost. Su Yun couldn't help but feel happy. This guy could provoke anyone, but he had to provoke the down-and-out Violent Fox Venerable. It was like using a lantern to go to the toilet, looking for shit death. Cho Yun frowned. A cold light flashed in the corner of her eyes. She said coldly, "What did you say?" "I told you to get lost." Only then did Wang Tianguang turn his head. It didn't matter when he turned his head, but he didn't expect that the waitress who applied for the waitress position was actually such a pretty little beauty. Suddenly his lust was aroused, and he teased her. "Little bitch, you're quite pretty. Humph, are you interested in being my woman? I am known as Silver Spear Little Tyrant. Quang." Without waiting for Wang Tianguang to finish his words, Cho Yun suddenly used a simple and domineering high whip kick on the back of Wang Tianguang's head. Chapter 20. After a loud crash, the glass counter was smashed into pieces by Wang Tianguang's face. But no matter how broken the glass was, it was not as broken as Wang Tianguang's twisted bloody face. That face was too horrible to look at. His eyes were cracked, black pearls were popping out, blood was gushing out, and his nose was crooked. Wang Tianguang's mind was filled with the sound of gongs and drums. He only knew that his vision turned black, and he did not know anything else. Beautiful. Instant kill in one move. Su Yun waved his hand at the 2 dumbfounded underlings. Why aren't you sending him to the hospital? Don't let him die here. It's bad luck. Seeing that Wang Tianguang was crippled, the 2 underlings' legs were trembling, and the ice beauty had a cold look on her face. She was emitting a threatening chill from head to toe. What else did they dare to say? The two of them quickly dragged Wang Tianguang to the hospital. It would be troublesome if he really died. Uncle Shi would definitely blame the two of them. Su Yun saw the two of them walk away and smiled at Chou Yun. Have you really thought it through? The monthly salary is only 1,000 yuan. You don't think it's too little, right? Although Chou Yun did not pay attention to Su Yun, at least the way she looked at him was not as cold as before. How could she come here for money? Protecting Guogua's safety was her only goal now. You can't be a good waitress if you don't like to talk. Su Yun asked for a snub. At this time, the three beauties who were shopping finally came back. Dad, look at Mom and Sister Wan. Aren't they beautiful? Guogua shouted excitedly before she entered the door. When Guogua pushed open the door and entered, she was instantly stunned. Her mouth twitched slightly and her eyes turned red. All the grievances, fear, and apprehension from half a month ago poured out in torrents. With a cry, she threw herself at Chou Yun. Woo! Sister! Woo! Where did you go? When Chou Yun saw Guogua's aggrieved look, her cold heart instantly melted into a pool of soft water. She stepped forward and hugged the crying Guogua. She muttered to herself, Guogua, don't blame me. I abandoned you because of you. Guogua, don't blame me. I will never abandon you again, never. Woo! Guogua could no longer hold back her fear and worry for Chou Yun for the past 10 days. She burst into tears. Sister is bad. Do you know how worried Guogua was when I couldn't find you? Woo! Ruan Qingshuang and Qin Wan who came in later, were completely confused. What had happened? The two women could only cast their gazes on Su Yun, curiously waiting for Su Yun's explanation. I think we should wait for Guogua to explain herself. Su Yun did not know how to express himself. He could only shrug his shoulders. Chou Yun, you take Guogua upstairs first. Chou Yun nodded and said nothing. She picked up Guogua, who was crying, and went upstairs. Looking at the mysterious woman, Qin Wan could not help but frown. She looked at Ruan Qingshuang and asked, Sister Qingshuang, who is she? I don't know. Doesn't Guogua call her sister? Ruan Qingshuang shook her head. She believed that this woman must be related to Guogua. She always thought that Guogua was an orphan. She did not expect that she had other relatives. You don't know who your daughter's sister is? Qin Wan was speechless again. What kind of logic was this? Su Yun whistled at Qin Wan. Qin Wan, your new skirt is really short. What are you doing? Are you going to be a plainclothes policeman on the bus? Are you going to take risks to catch a pervert? I will catch a pervert like you first. If you look at me again, I will gouge your eyeballs out. Qin Wan stared at Su Yun, and her attention was quickly diverted. Although Ruan Qingshuang was worried about Guogua upstairs, she saw that Su Yun's eyes were calm. So she believed that the woman named Chou Yun would never hurt Guogua. There was only a strange feeling of depression in her heart. In fact, she was just worried that the woman would take Guogua away. Although Guogua was not her biological child, and the time they spent together was not long, Ruan Qingshuang did not know why, but she really treated Guogua as her own daughter. Because when Ruan Qingshuang picked up Guogua, Guogua was just like when she first came to Hudong. She was just as lonely, as helpless, and as pitiful as when no one was willing to help her. Ruan Qingshuang was really scared. She was afraid that without Guogua, what would happen to her? Would she return to the loneliness of the past? Ruan Qingshuang had been enduring that kind of loneliness when she left her hometown and came to Hudong City. It was Guogua who brought her a new life. She had begun to rely on Guogua. If Guogua really wanted to leave, she did not know how to accept the reality. Sister Qingshuang? Qin Weiner stretched out her hand and waved in front of Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang suddenly came back to her senses. What's wrong? I'll go back to the police station first. The director just called me. Qin Weiner said. Yesterday, the people of the Fourth Wolf Gang refused to pay the 30,000 yuan. I don't know if they will change their mind this time. Don't worry, I will definitely help you get the money back. Weiner, thank you. Ruan Qingshuang was also grateful to Qin Weiner. Su Yun did not think so. She is a policewoman, so she should serve the people. Otherwise, why do we pay taxes to support them? Qin Weiner rolled her eyes at Su Yun. This guy talked as if he had a grudge against the police. She really did not know if there was a policewoman who mistook him for a prostitute before. After Qin Weiner left, Wan Qingshuang wanted to ask Su Yun several times who the woman was, but Su Yun avoided it with a smile. When the time is right, they will naturally tell you. I can't explain it to them clearly. Then Guo, will she leave? Wan Qingshuang's heart skipped a beat when she said this, and her eyes were slightly red. At this time, Chou Yun appeared at the corner of the stairs with Guogua in her arms. There were no tears on Guogua's face. Although her eyes were still red, she had a bright smile on her face. Of course Guogua won't leave Mom. Wan Qingshuang quickly turned her head and looked at Guogua gently. Her tender eyes even affected Chou Yun. Chou Yun, who had always been wary of everyone, had to admit that the woman in front of her loved Guogua very much. Guogua jumped out of Chou Yun's arms and plunged into Wan Qingshuang's arms. Mom, this is Chou Yun, the person who has been the best to Guogua since she was a child. What about me? Wan Qingshuang heard Guogua's words and was a little jealous. Mom has been the person who has been the best to Guogua since 15 days ago. Guogua's mouth was like smeared with honey. If it wasn't for Mom, Guogua wouldn't have been able to live long ago. It was Mom who gave Guogua a second life. Mom is the person who Guogua loves the most. The words of the naughty child who was less than 7 years old moved Wan Qingshuang to tears. Su Yun smiled bitterly. What kind of show was this? Didn't this girl always take the comedic route? Why did she suddenly play a sad drama and stir up emotions? He really couldn't stand it. Dad, so you knew Chou Yun long ago. Why didn't you tell me? Guogua said angrily. Su Yun was wronged. It was Chou Yun who was hiding from you. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it. Humph, you can only choose between Chou Yun and Mom. Don't think about having a foot in two boats. Guogua didn't give Su Yun a chance to explain at all. She directly concluded. Dad must want to be both dad and brother-in-law. It's too difficult for me to call you that. F***ck. Su Yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall and die. Guogua didn't continue to dwell on this issue. She ran to the front desk and took out the account book. Seeing that nothing was recorded in it, Guogua was a little surprised. Dad, why didn't you record it? Do you remember how much you sold in your head? I sold a big pot of mung bean soup for free. Su Yun shrugged and said helplessly. What do you mean? Wan Qingshuang couldn't help but ask curiously. Su Yun was afraid that Wan Qingshuang would be worried, and didn't want to explain more. Chou Yun said coldly, a villain cheated. Su Yun could only laugh and pinch Guogua's little face, but it has been settled by your Chou Yun's sister. Guogua pouted her little mouth. When she thought that she didn't make any money at noon, her little face flushed with anger. It must be that bad guy from the wolf dog gang again. Guogua, they won't come to make trouble in the future. I'm here. I will never let Guogua be wronged again. Chou Yun's eyes showed a trace of apology and love. Okay. Guogua nodded and ran to Wan Qingshuang happily. Mom, let's leave Sister Chou Yun as a waitress in the shop. Hee, this way we won't have to be separated. Wan Qingshuang was of course willing. The shop was originally short of staff. It was better to have one of their own than an outsider. Chou Yun, I don't know what you mean? Okay. Chou Yun nodded. She didn't talk much to anyone. Even if she was infinitely grateful to Wan Qingshuang, it was difficult for her to say such pretentious words. Wan Qingshuang smiled slightly. Then I'll trouble you in the future. She could see that Chou Yun was a person who didn't like to talk very much. Su Yun saw a trace of pain in Chou Yun's eyes. Perhaps what happened last night stimulated her internal injury, but she still insisted on standing in front of Guogua, and didn't show any signs of injury. Guogua, why don't you hurry to prepare a room for your sister? Su Yun reminded. Wan Qingshuang and Guogua suddenly understood. Wan Qingshuang pulled Guogua up and said, let's go. Let's tidy up Sister Chou Yun's room beautifully, okay? Okay. Guogua took the lead and ran upstairs. He would provide food, accommodation, and treatment. These words were said by Su Yun. Of course, he couldn't go back on his words. How many more days do you think you can hold on? Su Yun's expression was quite relaxed. Chou Yun sneered self-deprecatingly. If it weren't for your 9 treasures resurrection pill, I'm afraid I would be a dead person now. You can take it easy. Su Yin admired her spirit of not being afraid of death. So what if I can't take it easy? Cho Yun's face still had a trace of self-deprecation. Su Yun, I rarely trust others since I was a child, but I choose to believe in you. I believe that after I die, you will definitely help me take care of Guogua. Su Yun hurriedly waved his hand. No, no, no. If you want to die, don't appear. You want to die after seeing Guogua? Can you die in peace? Cho Yun lowered her head. After a long time, she slowly raised it. There was no expression on her face. I don't want to die. Then listen to me obediently. Although we are not BNK and Huatua, we are not inferior to them. Su Yun smiled. But I'm afraid that you won't cooperate. Chapter 21. Of course, Su Yun knew that the violent fox venerable was not afraid of death. What she was afraid of was who would take care of Guogua if she died. Haha, he didn't expect that the little princess of Feng Qiansui's family was so charming that even Cho Yun could forget himself for her. At this time, Ruan Qingshuang and Guogua also came downstairs. Although Ruan Qingshuang felt that Cho Yun was not approachable, she still said kindly, "The room is ready. Cho Yun, you don't look good. Why don't you go upstairs and have a rest?" "Thank you." Cho Yun could say these two words, which meant that she was extremely grateful to Feng Qiansui. Cho Yun went upstairs to have a rest. Guogua surrounded Su Yun and asked him all kinds of questions. Su Yun just answered perfunctorily. Guogua couldn't understand him if he said too much. On the contrary, Guogua didn't worry too much. Ruan Qingshuang also roughly understood the situation. Guogua's family had some unclear things. Cho Yun took her out and then accidentally lost her. However, Su Yun didn't tell her the details. Before lunch, Qin Wana returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant excitedly. As soon as she entered the restaurant, she took out 30,000 yuan from her pocket and put it in front of Guogua at the front desk. Wow! Guogua's eyes were shining. "Sister Wan, did you win the lottery? Well, if you think so, I don't mind." Qin Wana smiled and quickly pulled Ruan Qingshuang to her side. "Sister Qingshuang, today the fourth wolf gang bailed out their people again. They were very obedient and spat out the money that they extorted from you." Ruan Qingshuang was surprised. She didn't expect to get back the 20,000 yuan that LV Bao and the fourth wolf gang had extorted. Now, not only did he get it back, he even got an extra 10,000 yuan. Guogua didn't hold back. The extra 10,000 yuan could be used as interest. "Since you are here, don't be so courteous. Come in and help me prepare the dishes." Su Yun really didn't treat Qin Wan as an outsider. Qin Wan was willing to accept her loss. She rolled her eyes at Su Yun and said, "It's just a side dish. What's so great about it?" At this time, Cho Yun also came down from upstairs. Qin Wan heard the sound and looked at the stairs. She was slightly shocked. Perhaps it was because assassins and police officers were born with a strong sixth sense that conflicted with each other, so when the two of them looked into each other's eyes, there was a slight pause. When the two met in the afternoon, they didn't notice each other because Guogua was there. However, things were different now. "Cough. Why are you in a daze? If Sister Shuang doesn't say anything, are you two not going to work?" Su Yun coughed to resolve the two's doubts. "Those who are supposed to serve the dishes, serve the dishes. Those who are supposed to wash the vegetables, wash the vegetables." As soon as Su Yun's voice fell, 2 male and 2 female customers walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Guogua also quickly went to the front desk and prepared to make money. Cho Yun and Qin Wan didn't bother each other anymore. They both went to do their own things. "Guogua, who is Qin Wan?" Cho Yun casually asked during their free time. Guogua said proudly, "Sister Wan is a police officer. Guogua knows her, so I won't be afraid of those bad guys looking for trouble in the future." Police? Cho Yun couldn't help but be a little more vigilant against Qin Wan. As a person from the underworld, of course, she was quite resistant to the police. Her dislike of the police was definitely not less than Su Yun's. The medicinal cuisine restaurant's business was booming. After tonight, word of mouth spread even more. The chef was comparable to the imperial chef, needless to say. The lady boss, Ruan Qingshuang, had light eyebrows like autumn water. Her jade-like skin was accompanied by a light breeze. She was beautiful and intelligent. The waitress Cho Yun also had snow-white skin. Her nose was like a virgin. Her beauty was peerless. The handyman, Chin Wonner, had soft hands and white skin. She was sweet and dignified. The cashier at the front desk, Guagua, was smart and clever. She was silly and lovable. She was pretty and charming. How could this restaurant not be popular? The four beauties, sweet, handsome, elegant, and gorgeous, gathered in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The one who enjoyed the most was the chef who was busy cooking. The people of the Fourth Wolf Gang probably finally understood the reason why Su Yun would rather stay here than to fight for the world with them. The medicinal cuisine restaurant's customers exploded for the whole night. Some people even ordered so that Ruan Qingshuang or Cho Yun, who was in charge of serving the dishes, could come closer to them. Su Yun was thinking, if these guys knew that Cho Yun was a demoness who killed people without batting an eyelid, would they still dare to eat the food she served? Chin Wanner's arms were tired and sore. She regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. If she had known, she would not have made this kind of bet with Su Yun. Su Yun was a lot more relaxed. He just needed to weigh the big spoon twice. All the work was given to Chin Wanner. He did not have any intention to be gentle with her. It could not be helped. Who asked Chin Wanner to be a police officer? Hey Su Yun, what does Guagua's sister do? Chin Wanner always felt that Cho Yun had a strange aura. Ugh. Su Yun could not tell the truth, so he could only make it up. I heard that she used to be a stewardess. How is she? Is she pretty? Chin Wanner nodded doubtfully. She is pretty, but I always feel that she has a different feeling from others. I feel cold when I see her. It's lonely at the top. Stewardesses are all like this. Su Yun was good at explaining. Their conversation naturally could not escape from Cho Yun's ears. Fortunately, Chin Wanner did not say anything else. Otherwise, if the two of them quarreled, Su Yun really did not know how to be a peacemaker. The refrigerator in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was finally empty. Now it was finally time to close. Guagua's eyes were red as she counted the money. The turnover in one night was more than 10,000 yuan. For a small restaurant like Ruan Qingshuang, it was simply shocking. Shouldn't we celebrate? Chin Wanner had never had such an experience. Of course, she was excited after the success. How about I go and buy some beer? But I can't drink. Ruan Qingshuang was stunned. She wanted to celebrate, but drinking was really not her strong point. Cho Yun was still silent. She had already learned from Guagua that Ruan Qingshuang was a police officer, so she was not interested in her and Chin Wanner. She directly got up and went upstairs. Chin Wanner did not care. Anyway, she did not like the cold feeling of Cho Yun. Guagua saw Cho Yun go upstairs and shook her little head. Sister Wanner, I want to drink beer with you, but I am still young. What if I become an alcoholic? By then, ordinary people would not dare to marry Guagua. Chin Wanner laughed helplessly and said, I definitely believe that the person who dares to marry you is definitely not an ordinary person. Ruan Qingshuang heard it and couldn't help but sigh. Guagua was such an evil little thing. She really did not know which family's young man would be able to control her in the future. In the end, Chin Wanner could only look at Su Yun with expectation. He should be the only person who would support her drinking beer to celebrate. Ugh, that. After drinking, I am still an innocent little boy. Who will be responsible if something happens? As Su Yun spoke, he pulled the collar of his singlet up a little. His expression was so nervous that it was as if he had been violated. Chin Wanner was completely speechless. Who wants to drink with you? You wish. Even if something happens, no one will ask you to be responsible. Wanner, if you really want to drink, then I will accompany you. Ruan Qingshuang smiled. She did not want to spoil Chin Wanner's mood, and she was indeed very happy. Let's not, Sister Qingshuang. Chin Wanner rolled her eyes at Su Yun. This guy lives here. I am worried. If something happens, Ruan Qingshuang blushed. It is not a single man and a single woman. There is also Guagua and Cho Yun. Guagua suddenly shook the electronic watch on her wrist. Sister Wanner, when we were buying clothes during the day, you said that you were going to work at night. Do you mean that you are going to work at night? Oh no. Chin Wanner's face changed. How could she forget that she was on duty? The shift was at 8 o'clock. It was already past 9 o'clock. I have to go quickly. I am on duty today. Goodbye. Ruan Qingshuang only remembered it after hearing Guogua's words. She looked at Qin Wan'er with embarrassment. If it were not for her help, she would not be late. Wan'er, take care on the road. Be careful. Okay. Qin Wan'er did not say anything more. She quickly went out and rode away. Seeing that Qin Wan'er had left, Suyin yawned. He got up and said, I am a little tired. I will go upstairs and rest for a while. Okay, then you should rest early. Ruan Qingshuang nodded. These days Suyin had worked hard. Suyin did not go upstairs to rest. He saw that Chou Yun's face was a little pale when she left. Suyin was worried that her internal injury would continue. Even if his master came, it would be in vain. Knock, knock, knock. Chou Yun heard the knock on the door. She asked vigilantly, Who is it? Suyin did not answer. He directly opened the door and entered the room. He knew Chou Yun's character. It was useless to talk to her. The best way to get close to her was to use actions to make her believe. Now you have two options. Suyin closed Chou Yun's door and took out a small bottle from his pocket. The first option is to take the medicine. I still have 7-9 treasures revival pills. It is not difficult to extend your life for a month. But after a month, even the gods can't save you. 7-9 treasures revival pills. Chou Yun's jaw almost dropped. The price of this kind of precious medicine in the underground black market was more than 1,000,000 yuan. And it was not something that could be bought with money. When Feng Qiansui unified Suang, he only had 5 or 6 pills. But this slovenly dressed guy in front of her actually took out 7 pills at once. Including the one he had given her before, that was a total of 8 pills. Whoosh! Chou Yun couldn't help but gasp. This guy was definitely not as simple as she thought. He could talk and laugh in front of a second-rate master like Mountain Cat, and take out so many precious medicines and treasures at once. Who the hell was this guy? Suyin did not care about Chou Yun's surprise. He continued, The second option, trust me. I can't guarantee that your internal injury will be completely removed now, but you will definitely recover after a long period of recuperation. Chou Yun was silent for a while. Her lips curled into a light smile. Okay, I believe you. As Suyin spoke, an exquisite silver box appeared in his hand. It was filled with 108 silver needles. The opponent's background is not small. He can actually use his internal strength to injure your violent fox venerable 8 extraordinary meridians. He is not a simple person. Humph. Chou Yun narrowed her eyes. She was not afraid of one-on-one, but she had no chance of winning against 2 first-rate masters. Chapter 22. Chou Yun's expression suddenly changed. She raised her head and glared at Suyin. If she wasn't suffering from internal injuries, she would have killed anyone who dared to talk to her like that. Suyin understood Chou Yun's cold gaze. He shrugged his shoulders and said, Listen to me if you want to live. I don't have the ability to perform acupuncture through clothes. Every acupuncture point in the 8 extraordinary meridians is very important. It's fine if you don't take them off, but don't blame me if I make a mistake. Although Chou Yun didn't know much about medicine, she knew how important the 8 extraordinary meridians were to people who practice martial arts. Moreover, she was a first-class expert who had opened all the basic meridians in her body, so she understood the importance and fear of this point. Especially the run and do meridians. If he made a mistake, he would lose all his martial arts. In the worst case, he would die or become a vegetable. Suyin took back the silver needles and said, Forget it. Since you don't want to, I won't force you. In a while, you can take a look at the Yutong, Tanzhong, and Zhongting acupuncture points on your chest. If I'm not wrong, these acupuncture points have turned dark purple. The Dazhui, Lingtai, and Mingmen acupuncture points on your Du meridian are probably more serious. Chou Yun clenched her teeth. How could she bear to show her pure body to a man? Unless she killed him after he performed acupuncture on her. If it was before, Chou Yun would definitely do such a thing. But now she really couldn't do it to Suyin. Life and death are not up to the heavens. It's up to you. Suyin didn't hesitate. He put away the silver needles and gave all 7 treasures revival pills to Cho Yun. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Guogua. Su-Yun walked out of Cho Yun's room. At this time, he followed Ruan Qingshuang and Guogua upstairs and bumped into them. Dad, why did you go to Cho Yun's room? Guogua asked cautiously. You already have a mother, so don't be so fickle. And according to seniority, she's also your daughter. You have to pay attention to the ethical relationship. What the hell are you doing, Leonard? Su-Yun almost vomited blood. How could a daughter be the same age as her father? I'm sending some medicine to your sister. Your sister doesn't seem to be feeling well. Su-Yun was speechless. The awkwardness on Ruan Qingshuang's face turned into worry. She pulled Su-Yun over and whispered, Su-Yun, why didn't you tell me that a girl is feeling unwell? It's better for me to step forward than for you to step forward. Su-Yun scratched his head. It's appropriate for you to do it, but you don't know how to apply acupuncture. Could it be that she misunderstood and thought that Cho Yun was on her period? However, Guogua's next words made Su-Yun and Ruan Qingshuang almost fall down. Sigh, women will always have a few days every month when they feel unwell. Guogua sighed with a sympathetic expression. F***CK. How old are you? What do you know? Su-Yun really wondered how mature Guogua's mental age was. Let's go, Guogua. Mom will take you to take a bath. Ruan Qingshuang really couldn't do anything about Guogua. She could only drag her away. Now that there are more people staying in the shop, Guogua can't take a bath any longer. After Ruan Qingshuang took Guogua away, Su-Yun also returned to his room. Cho Yun heard that there was no sound outside. She also let out a long sigh of relief. She gathered her courage and stood in front of the mirror. She slowly took off her clothes. The mirror reflected Cho Yun's graceful figure. Her white jade-like skin made people unable to believe that she was an assassin. Cho Yun clearly saw through the mirror that her chest's Yutong, Tanzhong, Zhongting, Juk, and Shin-K acupuncture points on her abdomen were all dark purple. She couldn't help but tremble. Su-Yun was right. Her internal injury had reached a point where it couldn't be treated. If it was delayed, she was afraid that only death would await her. But no matter what, Su-Yun was still a man. Cho Yun couldn't convince herself to let a man look at her body no matter what. Even if he was a doctor with the heart of a parent, with the purpose of practicing medicine and doing good deeds, he would still look. And if the main target of acupuncture was the 8 extra meridians, it meant that the governing vessel, Ren vessel, Chong vessel, Dai vessel, Yangwei vessel, Yinwei vessel, Yinxiao vessel, Yangwei vessel, Yinwei vessel, Yinxiao vessel, Yangwei vessel. That meant that there was no privacy left in her body. However, if she didn't perform acupuncture, she wouldn't be able to protect Guogua after a month. Guo. This was Cho Yun's Achilles heel. Cho Yun finally made the final decision. For Guogua, she could even die. Why would she be afraid of letting a man look at her body? For Guogua, for the sake of Feng Qiansui's trust, this little humiliation was nothing. Thinking of this, Cho Yun put on her clothes and pushed open the door. She directly pushed open the door of Su-Yun's room next door. Su-Yun seemed to have already expected that she would come to his room. Have you thought about it? Yes. Cho Yun tried to calm her breathing as much as possible. In fact, it's nothing. The acupuncture is mainly aimed at a few important acupuncture points of the Ren and Du meridians. I also saw. It's nothing. Su-Yun wanted to say that he didn't see much, but thinking that Cho Yun's character was really not suitable for joking, he swallowed his words. This was somewhat beyond Cho Yun's expectation. Only acupuncture on the Ren and Du meridians? Yes. Su-Yun nodded. Then I will do the acupuncture on the Ren and Du meridians in front of my chest. You are only responsible for the Du meridians in the back. Cho Yun seemed to have found a way to make herself accept it. She only let Su-Yun look at her back. Although it was awkward, she could still accept it. At least she didn't have to face a man with her chest exposed. Su-Yun was stunned. He was afraid that he wouldn't have the chance to see the proud twin peaks of the violent fox venerable. You know acupuncture? I know a little. Cho Yun said. She would rather take some risks than let Su-Yun see everything. Su-Yun smiled. That's fine. I don't think you will joke about your own life. Just do what I say. Okay. Cho Yun gritted her teeth. She had completely endured the torture of her internal injuries. Take off your clothes. Soo-Yun walked behind Cho Yun. You only need to take 7 silver needles and insert them into the acupuncture points according to my instructions. Remember, don't forget the order and position. Cho Yun nodded. Her face was cold. She no longer hesitated. She took off her top and undid her underwear without hesitation. The whole room was instantly filled with a special atmosphere. Soo-Yun even held his breath. He had never seen a woman's body. Cho Yun's graceful back gave him endless fanciful thoughts. Her white jade-like skin was so tender that it seemed like water could be squeezed out with a pinch. Gulp. Soo-Yun couldn't help but salivate. Cho Yun's cold voice sounded. Have you seen enough? Victoria's Secret? This underwear is quite expensive, right? Soo-Yun quickly withdrew his gaze and touched his chin to change the topic. Soo-Yun, if you dare to have any other thoughts, I swear I will make your head fall to the ground. When Cho Yun heard that this guy actually cared about her underwear brand at such a critical moment, of course, she was furious. Soo-Yun took a deep breath. Fine, let's talk about acupuncture only, not underwear. Dad, is Sister Cho Yun in your room? Following Guogua's inquiry, Soo-Yun's room door was opened with a creak. Guogua walked in without thinking. Her hair was still wet from washing. Whoosh! The whole room was dead silent. Cho Yun didn't care about healing her injuries. She directly put on her clothes, then picked up Guogua and walked back to her room. No one spoke during the whole process. Soo-Yun had never encountered such an awkward situation. Who knew if Guogua would exaggerate in front of Ruan Qingxuang? Alas, Guogua, oh Guogua, Godfather's reputation depends on whether you can control that mouth of yours. Cho Yun could only blame herself for being too careless. How could she forget to lock the door when she entered Soo-Yun's room just now? In the future, it seemed that acupuncture treatment must be done in the middle of the night when everyone was asleep. Otherwise, she would encounter an awkward situation at any time. Sister Cho Yun, why did Dad take off your clothes? Could it be that the two of you are going to? Guogua's expression was quite incredulous. In her world, Cho Yan's existence was like an iceberg. She had never even seen her speak to a man before. Not to mention taking off her clothes in front of a man. Although Cho Yun was a violent fox master, in front of Guogua, she was a gentle sister. Guogua, you can't talk nonsense. Just now, I just wanted him to help me heal. I didn't mean anything else. Guogua nodded as if she understood. Just like Zhang Chuishan took off Yin Susu's clothes to heal, Yang Xiao took off Ji Xiaofu's clothes to heal, and Zhang Wuji took off Zhao Min's clothes to heal. As she spoke, Guogua shook her head helplessly. Alas, what's wrong with those heroes? Is Dad like them? Can't he heal without taking off a girl's clothes? My injury needs acupuncture and I have to take off my clothes. Cho Yun really didn't know whether the current TV series helped or hurt her. Guogua, in short, the matter of Soo-Yun healing my sister. You can't tell anyone, okay? Then, Cho Yun said nervously, especially, you can't tell Mother Ruan. Guogua nodded and agreed. Of course, Mom will be jealous if she knows. Cho Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, since we have agreed, we must keep it a secret. Guogua's small eyes rolled. But next time when you ask Dad to heal you, you must call Guogua. Guogua is worried that my sister will be taken advantage of. Sweat, who would have the nerve to let others watch this kind of thing? Even if Guogua was a child, Cho Yun was also awkward. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang also came out of the shower and shouted, Guogua, where did you go? Sister Cho Yun, I'm leaving. Mom hasn't finished yesterday's story yet. Guogua stuck out her tongue, opened the door and ran out. Mom, I went to play with Sister Cho Yun for a while. In the room, Soo-Yun's ears were almost stretched out. He was really afraid that Guogua would say something shocking, but fortunately, Guogua didn't mention a word about what happened just now. Although Soo-Yun was a doctor with the heart of a parent, if this kind of thing was not explained clearly, it would be easy to cause misunderstandings. His reputation could not be ruined by such a small thing. Chapter 23. In the dead of the night, Soo-Yun once again heard Cho Yun knocking on the door. He was now very sure that Cho Yun wanted to live. Now there's no one to disturb us. Su Yun opened the door and revealed a smile. Cho Yun didn't say much and returned to her original seat. She decisively took off her top and took out 7 silver needles from the silver box. Let's begin. Although this was the second time Su Yun saw Cho Yun's smooth and white back, he still took a few deep breaths to suppress the evil in his mind. Although Su Yun wasn't a pervert, he was definitely not a gentleman who could remain calm. Your internal injury isn't something that just happened in a day or two. You might feel uncomfortable, so you have to be prepared. Cho Yun nodded. For Guogua, there was nothing that Cho Yun couldn't handle. Su Yun didn't waste any more time, and took out a silver needle from his right index and middle finger. A surge of internal energy rose in his dantian, and directly forced it to his 2 fingers. Su Yun turned his wrist and directly pierced the silver needle into Cho Yun's back. A warm current flowed through the needle, and into Cho Yun's acupuncture point. Cho Yun instantly felt relaxed. The blood clot in her heart and lungs was slowly dissolved by the warm internal energy. Su Yun pinched the needle with his thumb and index finger, and gently twirled it as he said, "Try to adjust your breathing. Prepare the silver needle in your hand. When I count to 3, take the silver needle, and pierce it into the Yutong acupuncture point in the middle of your chest." Cho Yun didn't say anything, and tried to adjust her breathing rhythm. She raised the silver needle in her hand to indicate that she was ready. Su Yun's hand flashed and took out the second silver needle. 1, 2, 3. As soon as they finished speaking, the 2 of them simultaneously pierced their needles into Cho Yun's Ren Meridian Yutong acupoint on her chest, and Du Meridian Lingtai acupoint on her back. Cho Yun only felt a refreshing feeling in her body, as if all the impurities in her body had been expelled through the acupuncture points. That kind of comfort was something she had never felt since she was injured. With the perfect cooperation this time, Su Yun was relieved to let Cho Yun perform the acupuncture on his chest. Then, the 2 of them inserted the silver needles into the Ren and Du meridians. Every time, Su Yun secretly transferred his inner strength through the silver needles, Cho Yun would feel more relaxed. Finally, Su Yun pierced the last silver needle that contained his internal energy into Cho Yun's Mingmen acupoint at the back of Cho Yun's waist. When he saw that the acupoint at the back of Cho Yun's body had a dark purple color, he knew that the silver needle was very effective in removing blood clots. Phew! Su Yun finally let out a long sigh of relief. Just when Cho Yun felt a wave of comfort in her meridians, she suddenly frowned. A weak sound came from the roof and 2 light footsteps landed on the ground. The sound was so weak that it was almost impossible to hear it with one's ears. Calm your heart, and follow the relaxation of your meridians. Breathe in and out and adjust your meridians. Leave the 2 rats outside to me. Su Yun raised the corner of his mouth, and revealed a sinister smile. Unexpectedly, those people's speed was quite fast. After 1 was killed, 2 more came. Now was not the time for Cho Yun to let her emotions affect her decisions. She could only calm her heart and adjust her meridians. Otherwise, it would be easy for her to receive a more serious backlash. As for the other things, she could only leave them to Su Yun. Su Yun wore flip-flops and did not take the usual route. He jumped out of the window again. The whole process was smooth and without any hesitation. Luckily, Cho Yun can't fight today. Otherwise, the roof would become a slaughterhouse. Su Yun cursed in his heart. The 2 people on the roof stopped. A low voice said, "Gong Yu, I found the locator left by Mountain Cat. It seems that Mountain Cat is in trouble." The other voice said cautiously, "Violent Fox Venerable is indeed a Violent Fox Venerable. Even with such a serious injury, she can still escape from Mountain Cat's pursuit. Qin Hu, the 2 of us must be careful." Humph. The low voice was slightly disdainful. "Gong Yu, you think too highly of Cho Yun. If Mountain Cat is really in trouble, it must be Cho Yun's luck. She has such a serious internal injury. I'm afraid that we don't have to do anything. She should be dying soon, right? What kind of threat can a dying person pose to us?" Cough. Suddenly, there was a light cough. The 2 people on the roof broke out in cold sweat. They were murderous and quickly went into alert mode. "Goshawk Gong Yu, Devil Beast Qin Hu." Yun smiled and walked in front of the 2. The two of you are famous in the underground world. Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? Gong Yu narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him cautiously. This guy could quietly approach the two of them and know that they were from the underground world. This meant that he was not an ordinary person. May I ask who you are? Why are you eavesdropping on our conversation? Gong Yu's eyes flashed with cruelty. Su Yun knew that only a bloodthirsty person would have such cruelty. Su Yun. Su Yun narrowed his eyes slightly. His whole body was filled with a strong desire to fight. He quickly went into battle mode. Have you heard of me? Gong Yu, why are you talking to this nobody? Qin Hu was impulsive. His eyes flashed with coldness and murderous intent. Don't be rash, Gong Yu said sternly. He was not in a hurry to attack. Gong Yu had already determined that Su Yun was not weaker than the two of them. Now that Mountain Cat's life was unknown, it must be related to this person. After all, Violent Fox Venerable was half a cripple. Mountain Cat might have been killed by this person. Su Yun smiled. Are you looking for the person from yesterday? Don't waste your time. That person was killed by Cho Yun. Gong Yu and Qin Hu's murderous intent exploded. Gong Yu's eyes flashed with cruelty. You really know Violent Fox Venerable. Where is she? Su Yun raised his eyebrows. I do know where Cho Yun is, but what if I don't want to tell you? Goshawk. This guy is obviously here to pick a fight. Let's kill him first and find Cho Yun. That be *th. Qin Hu glared at Su Yun angrily and said through gritted teeth. After all, he had a good relationship with Mountain Cat. Now that he was sure that Mountain Cat was dead, he was naturally very unhappy. Su Yun did not expect the other party to be so ruthless. They sent out two quasi-second-rate masters at once. Even if Cho Yun did not have any internal injuries, it would be very difficult for her to deal with two masters at the peak of second rate. Gong Yu gradually lost her patience. Since you don't want to talk, don't blame us for being merciless. I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Qin Hu suddenly stepped to the left with his left foot and knelt with his right knee on the ground. His two hands were like tiger claws. His right hand was in front of him, and his left hand was in front of his chest. He glared at Su Yun with a pair of angry eyes. What a brilliant move from the awakening of a tiger. Gong Yu also arched her body. Her eyes were fierce. She stepped back with her right foot. Her entire body was almost on the ground. Her long arms were like a mantis's. Su Yun knew that this was not the mantis fist. It was Gong Yu's self-created saber fist, which she relied on to survive. I'll play with the two of you today. Yun raised his head and laughed coldly. A fierce murderous aura suddenly rose from his ordinary body. A huge ball of murderous aura instantly exploded in the air. It quickly enveloped the entire roof of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Gong Yu and Qin Hu instantly felt a chill down their spines. They could not help but frown. Their expressions slowly turned serious. They did not expect the other party's aura to be so terrifying. The murderous aura emanating from his body alone was enough to make a beginner master unbearable. Even the two second-rate masters could not help but feel afraid. They had the thought of stopping in fear. However, Qin Hu's murderous aura did not diminish. He would not stop just because of Su Yun's murderous aura. Today he and Gong Yu came to Hudong with a simple goal. They would either find Mountain Cat or return with Cho Yun's body. Even if someone came out of nowhere, Qin Hu would still kill him. Kill. Kill. Gong Yu was not that careless. He now completely understood why Mountain Cat had died here. There was actually such a powerful person hiding here. Violent Fox Venerable was indeed not simple. He had actually managed to invite such a top-notch master. This was his boss's miscalculation. Su Yun was already prepared. Although it was not easy to fight two second-rate masters alone, what else could he do other than do it himself? He had just used acupuncture to unblock Cho Yun's meridians and cleanse the blood clots in her body. If he asked her to fight now, it would be no different from asking her to die. Right now, Su Yun only hoped that these two people were not that skilled. At the very least, he would be able to defeat them. When Cho Yun recovered, she would be a great help. The moment he thought about it, Qin Hu had already taken 3 steps forward. His burly body turned sideways, and he used the momentum to attack with his claws like a hungry tiger. At the same time, Gong Yu did not hesitate and chose to attack at the same time. His body was like an eagle that swooped down to pounce on its prey. When he turned his wrists, two sharp, cold glares could be seen. The sharp blades looked incredibly terrifying in the night. Gong Yu knew very well that he and Qin Hu would only have a chance of winning if they worked together to kill them. Gong Yu quickly swung his short blade at Su Yun's ankle. Qin Hu's hands went for Su Yun's chest. The two of them worked together with great familiarity. By the looks of it, they often fought side by side. Su Yun did not dare to be negligent when he faced two great masters. His footsteps were quick and nimble. His body moved like a phantom, and he dodged Gong Yu's short blade. Then he turned sideways to avoid Qin Hu's fierce claw. While he dodged their attacks, Su Yun did not stay idle. His right fist suddenly twisted at his waist, and he threw a punch that could not be blocked. Tidal cry struck Qin Hu's lower abdomen. That punch was definitely ruthless. Qin Hu felt as if his abdomen had been cut by a knife. The 100 threads of hidden force turned into a soft wave of qi that exploded violently in his body. If Su Yun followed up with a punch that could destroy anything, it would be enough to kill Qin Hu. Gong Yu naturally would not give Su Yun that chance. The cold blade in his hand closed in on him without hesitation. Su Yun felt two fierce gusts of wind coming at him, and he had no choice but to take 2 steps back. Chapter 24. Wah! Gong Yu did not have time to dodge, and Su Yun's kick landed on her back with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Su Yun landed steadily on the ground and steadied his lower body, but Gong Yu fell to the ground with a thud. Her chest surged and there was a faint taste of blood in her mouth. Then she coughed up a mouthful of blood. Qin Hu seized the chance to pounce on him like a ferocious tiger. He had practiced Black Tiger steals the heart to perfection, and his target was clear. With a howl of wind, he went straight for Su Yun's heart. Su Yun would not give him such a good chance. Without hesitation, he swung his round iron fist at Qin Hu's tiger claw. A fist and a claw. When their palms collided, it was as if a volcano had erupted. Even though Qin Hu's tiger claw was strong and could break steel, there was no way it could withstand Su Yun's powerful qi that could shatter stone. When their palms collided, Qin Hu screamed in pain and quickly pulled back his tiger claw, which had its fingers broken. At the moment Qin Hu pulled back his fist in pain, Su Yun bent his left knee, and his right leg suddenly shot out like a cannonball. He kicked Qin Hu's crotch, and Qin Hu flipped backward. With a loud thud he fell on his face. Ow! Qin Hu's screams tore through the night sky. The pain of his fingers instantly shattering and his bones breaking was excruciating. The pain of his crotch exploding was unbearable, both mentally and physically. Su Yun was able to catch his breath. At the very least, these two people had basically lost their ability to fight. Cho Yun, who was still in Su Yun's room, heard someone screaming. She suddenly opened her sharp eyes and released a long sigh. After adjusting the order of her meridian system, she felt incredibly comfortable. In an instant, Cho Yun had already put on her clothes. She stepped on the edge of the window Su Yun had opened, flipped over, and jumped to the roof. Cho Yun's sudden appearance shocked the 3 people in the room. So fast. Su Yun was a little surprised. Generally speaking, it was not easy to adjust one's meridians after suffering from internal injuries. However, Cho Yun had only used 3 to 5 minutes. Cho Yun. Even though Qin Hu was in unbearable pain, he still managed to shout out those 2 words. Su Yun alone was enough to make the 2 of them unable to deal with him. Now that the violent fox venerable had suddenly gotten rid of the case, it was likely that the 2 of them would be in grave danger. At this moment, Gong Yu suddenly stood up. He took advantage of the moment when Cho Yun suddenly appeared and interrupted Su Yun's attention. He soared into the air like an eagle spreading its wings, wanting to jump down from the medicinal cuisine restaurant and escape the scene. It wasn't that he was a coward, but he knew that they couldn't beat Su Yun. If the violent fox venerable joined the fray, he would be dead for sure. If both of them were to die, it would be better to let Qin Hu die alone. He had to stay alive and report back to boss. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past, and flip-flops flashed across the night sky like lightning. Gong Yu's body, which had soared into the air, was suddenly hit by the flip-flops. He immediately fell down the stairs in an unbelievable manner. There was a loud crash, and then there was no sound at all. Cho-Yun's eyes suddenly turned as cold as ice. The moment she touched her waist, the flexible sword Long Yuan was already in her hand. A cold light flashed in front of Qin Hu's eyes. He could only see Long Yuan's body, which was like autumn water. The pain of his heart being pierced made him forget everything. After a moment, no matter how hard he tried to breathe, no oxygen entered his lungs. To the magical beast Qin Hu, the feeling of death was nothing. He just couldn't accept it. Without waiting for Su Yin to stop her, Cho-Yun had already jumped down from the roof and headed straight for Gong Yu. Cho-Yun didn't have any pity for them. In her eyes, they all deserved to die. How they treated the Feng family that day. She would pay them back sooner or later. Seeing this, Su Yin didn't hesitate. He also jumped down from the roof. He didn't want Cho-Yun to turn the area around the medicinal cuisine restaurant into a graveyard. The moment Su Yin jumped down from the roof, he was dumbfounded. F***ck. Why would Qin Wan appear downstairs at this time? Don't move. A delicate voice rang through the night sky. Qin Wan calmly aimed her gun at Cho-Yun. Qin Wan was indeed shocked by what had just happened. After receiving the call, she immediately rushed to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. When she stopped the police car, she saw a person falling down from the roof. Before she could understand what had happened, Cho-Yun jumped down. Her body was as light as a ghost. Following closely behind Cho-Yun was Su Yin, who had already piqued Qin Wan's curiosity. What the hell was going on? Was it a movie? It was an action movie. Gong Yu took advantage of the fact that they were stunned. He suppressed his qi and blood, got up, and tried to escape. Su Yin didn't give him the chance. His body flashed and blocked in front of Gong Yu. Suddenly he raised his leg and kicked Gong Yu's waist. Gong Yu, who was already seriously injured, was hit again. Like a kite with a broken string, he fell down at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He didn't have the strength to get up anymore. Qin Wan stared at Cho-Yun with her eyes wide open. The reason was simple. It was because of the soft sword in Cho-Yun's hand, Long Yuan. This kind of thing was a controlled knife in Huaxia. According to the regulations of the Ministry of Public Security, there were legal procedures for controlling the range of knives, production, and sales. Qin Wan only knew that seeing was believing. What she saw was Cho-Yun chasing someone down from the roof with a long sword. The person was seriously injured. After Su Yin kicked him, he was on the verge of death. Put down your weapon. Qin Wan yelled at Cho-Yun. Cho-Yun looked at Qin Wan coldly. Even if her internal injury hadn't healed, she still didn't care about a police officer and an ordinary gun. Qin Wan couldn't stand Cho-Yun's provocation. Qin Wan wouldn't let her off just because Guogua called Cho-Yun's sister. Put it down. You'd better not get involved in this, Cho-Yun said coldly. I won't do anything to you because of Guogua. You can leave now. What? Qin Wan stared at him. I'm the one who's being polite to you because of Guogua. You'd better put down your weapon and cooperate with the law. Come with me to the police station and explain everything. Su Yin was in a dilemma. There was no way to explain this. Although Qin Wan had big boobs and no brains, she was a merciless and fair police officer in society. Cho-Yun was a famous violent fox master in the underground world. The two of them weren't from the same world. Cho-Yun's eyes flashed with coldness. Su Yin could see that she had a murderous intent in her heart. F***ck. Su Yin stood between the two of them just as Cho-Yun was about to make a move. Qin Wan, you're too unprofessional as a police officer. The one on the ground is the criminal. The two of us acted bravely for a just cause. Don't get the wrong person. Acted bravely for a just cause. Qin Wan wasn't so easily fooled. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Acting bravely for a just cause and holding a weapon? Do you think you're filming a martial arts drama? If you keep protecting her, I'll arrest you too. Cho-Yun was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. At this time, it was best to kill this police officer as well to save trouble. Cho-Yun's Long Yuan sword suddenly emitted a chill. She only needed to lightly touch it to kill Qin Wan. At the critical moment, a tender voice came out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Sister Wonner, you're finally here. Oh. Dad, what are you and Cho Yun doing? Guogua's sudden appearance completely changed the atmosphere of the restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang opened the door with a puzzled face while carrying Guogua. She asked 3 questions in one breath. Su Yin? Cho Yun? You guys? Guogua, did you call the police again? Su Yin was completely defeated by Guogua. Why was this girl so interested in the police? She would call the police at the slightest sign of trouble. Guogua rubbed her sleepy eyes and nodded seriously. Safety first. Be careful. Cho Yun suddenly shouted. However, it was too late. Gong Yu, who had been kicked to the door by Su Yun, suddenly stood up and grabbed the sleepy Guogua from Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang was caught off guard. Not only did she fail to protect Guogua, but she was also pushed to the ground by Gong Yu. Don't move. Whoever moves again, I'll kill her. As Gong Yu spoke, she placed the dagger in her hand on Guogua's neck. The whole thing happened so suddenly that Guogua didn't even have time to react. She even forgot to cry. Ruan Qingshuang was also completely shocked. After she fell to the ground, she was completely stunned. Cho Yan's almond-shaped eyes flashed with an aggressive, cold light. A sharp, murderous aura rose from her body. If Guogua had not been held tightly in Gong Yu's arms, she would have made her move and killed her long ago. Qin Wan was also stunned by what had happened. The man who had fallen from upstairs and was kicked by Su Yin could still stand up. It was incredible. Was he really human? When did the world become so crazy? There were so many perverts. What did they eat to grow up? Su Yin narrowed his eyes. His gaze was cold and quiet. He already regretted not killing him. If Gong Yu was a dead man now, he wouldn't be a threat to his daughter Guogua. Put the child down. Qin Wanner shouted angrily. She raised the gun in her hand again, quickly pulled the cylinder, and pushed the bullet into the gun. Gong Yu sneered and hid his head behind Guogua. He shouted, "Shoot! Shoot! Let me see how accurate you idiot police officers can be with your shots. Ha ha ha! Do you know that the moment a child's head explodes is very beautiful?" For a moment, the whole night sky was quiet. It was so quiet that it was scary. Qin Wanner had always been confident in her shooting. In the last large-scale shooting competition organized by the Bureau, she was the first in the whole of Hudong City. But now, facing a real criminal, facing Guogua in the hands of a criminal, Qin Wanner's confidence inexplicably disappeared. If you don't want this child to die, put the gun down and kick me. Gong Yu pressed the dagger in his hand tightly against Guogua's neck and shouted sternly. Qin Wanner's hands went limp. She had completely lost the courage to confront him. Chapter 25. Ruan Qingshuang was so scared that she could only pray. She even naively thought that it was the 4th wolf gang who came to take revenge. Bang! Qin Wanner had no choice. She threw the gun in her hand on the ground and kicked him. The safety of the hostage was the most important thing at any time. This was the principle that she had to abide by as a police officer. She was worried that the man would do something desperate. If he really hurt Guogua, she would live in the shadow of guilt for the rest of her life. Gong Yu was glad that he was lucky. Both Mountain Cat and Qin Hu were dead. He had to leave this place. Only by leaving this place could he tell the boss where Cho Yun was hiding. Fortunately, he had this little girl. Otherwise, he really did not know what to do. And now Gong Yu began to realize the importance of the little girl in his hand. He did not expect that even violent fox Venerable Cho Yun would be so obedient and not dare to move. Due to the tense situation, Gong Yu did not notice the appearance of the little girl in his hand. Could this child be Feng Qiansui's precious granddaughter that the boss wanted them to find? Thinking of this, Gong Yu pressed the knife tightly against Guogua's neck in his hand. He looked at Cho Yun slyly and said, "You'd better behave yourselves. Think about the child's life before you move." He saw that Cho Yun's eyes flashed with unprecedented anxiety and nervousness. It seemed that this little girl was really the person that their boss wanted. Qin Wanner still thought that he was a thief or a gangster. She even wanted to negotiate with him. "Let the child go, and I will let you go. Don't hurt the child. I can satisfy you whatever you want." Gong Yu's mouth curved into a cold smile. He carefully bent down and picked up Qin Wanner's gun as if he was treading on thin ice. He was extremely careful during the whole process. The cold sweat on his forehead proved that he was afraid. He was afraid that he would be killed by Su Yun and Cho Yun if he was not careful. When he finally held the gun in his hand, a relaxed and cold smile appeared on his face. Whoosh! Gong Yu raised the gun in his hand and aimed at Qin Weiner without hesitation. The sneer on his face became more and more obvious. Little cop, blame yourself for being nosy. I want to take your life. Are you going to satisfy me? Ahahaha. Su Yun cursed in his heart. Because the bullet was already loaded, if Gong Yu gently pulled the trigger, the consequences would be unimaginable. Gong Yu was very cunning. He knew very well that the chances of him hurting Su Yun and Cho Yun with a pistol were slim. If he wanted to leave, he had to create chaos. Killing this policeman was his best choice. It would give him a chance to escape and leave enough trouble for Cho Yun and Su Yun. Bang! The sound of a gunshot resounded through the night sky. Under the night sky, a dazzling light burst forth from the muzzle of the gun. A bullet shot out from the muzzle of the gun. Qin Weiner's pupils instantly dilated due to fear. She had never thought that the criminal she was facing would really shoot her. Ever since she entered the police academy, Qin Weiner had never been as scared as she was today. It was the first time she realized that death was so close to her. The moment the gunshot sounded, Su Yun jumped into the air. He couldn't let Qin Weiner die, even if Qin Weiner was a police officer, a profession that he hated the most. But if Qin Weiner died, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves. Of course, the most important point was that this brainless policewoman was not the same kind of person as the scum of the police that Su Yun hated. Just as Qin Weiner was about to accept her death, she was suddenly held by a strong arm. A bullet hit Su Yun's right shoulder. A stream of blood spurted out from Su Yun's shoulder like an arrow. Qin Weiner was stunned on the spot. She only felt a gust of wind blow past, and Su Yun was already in front of her. When she came back to her senses, the two of them had already fallen to the ground. Gong Yu was also very surprised. With Su Yun's strength, he was definitely a top master in the underground world. Why would such a master take a bullet for a lowly police officer? Immediately afterwards, Gong Yu paid a heavy price for her absent-mindedness. The Dragon Abyss flexible sword in Cho Yan's hand pierced out like lightning. In the night, it was like a silver snake spitting out its tongue. It was too late for Gong Yu to scream. He couldn't bear the pain in his right wrist and dropped the gun. Then his left knee was torn apart by the Long Yuan soft sword. Gong Yu knelt on one knee with a thud. At this time, the hostage in his hand had been taken away by Cho Yun. Qin Weiner couldn't care less about the fight between Cho Yun and the villain. Su Yun's body was heavily on top of hers. Qin Weiner didn't know what to do with the blood flowing out of his right shoulder. She couldn't help but tear up. After all, she was a girl. However, Su Yun, who was bravely sacrificing himself, raised his head and showed his white teeth. He smiled and said, F***CK. A police officer still has the time to cry when handling a case? Isn't that too unprofessional? Qin Weiner looked at Su Yun, who could still smile, and was dumbfounded. Although she didn't stop crying, she had completely stopped crying. After Cho Yun rescued Guogua, she handed her over to Ruan Qingshuang, who was completely stunned. Then, she raised the Long Yuan soft sword in her hand and directly attacked Gong Yu. However, at this time, an uncontrollable internal force surged out of Cho Yun's body. That internal force seemed to be tearing her apart. Cho Yun spat out a mouthful of blood. For a moment, she didn't even have the strength to stand. She knelt heavily on one knee, and could only rely on the Long Yuan soft sword in her hand to support her body from falling. Earlier, when Guogua was in danger, Cho Yun's internal injuries, which had been suppressed by the silver needles, burst out again. She had been suppressing them. Now that Guogua was out of danger, Cho Yun could no longer endure it. Gong Yu originally thought that he was going to die, but when he saw Cho Yun in such a state, he suddenly felt enlightened. He endured the pain in his wrists and knees and got up. Although Cho Yun and Su Yun were both injured, the cautious Gong Yu didn't continue to fight. He quickly got up and ran for his life. Now that Qin Hu and Mountain Cat were in danger, he had to leave alive. As long as he told the boss the news, he would have made a great contribution. However, when Gong Yu was less than 30 meters away, 3 consecutive gunshots made him completely kneel on the ground of Hudong City. Bang! 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 Qin Wan held the gun with both hands and was as steady as a mountain. This was the first time she fired a gun at a criminal. All the distracting thoughts from before were thrown to the back of her mind after Su Yin was shot. She only had one thought in her mind, and that was to not let the criminal escape. Su Yin let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, Cho Yun had taken care of the person on the rooftop. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to count on Qin Wan or to kill a second-rate master with a gun. Guogua seemed to have just come back to her senses. She looked at everyone blankly, then hugged Ruan Qingshuang and said, "Mom, did Guogua have a nightmare again?" Yes, Guogua has a nightmare again. Don't be afraid. Let's go back to sleep, okay? Guogua, be good." Ruan Qingshuang even suspected that she was having a nightmare too. Wanner had actually fired a gun. Hurry up and take Guogua back to the house. Cho Yun didn't say anything more. She really didn't want to say a word because of the pressure in her chest. She tried her best to keep her breathing steady, and only then was she able to suppress the internal injury in front of her. Ruan Qingshuang resisted her concern for Su Yin, and quickly carried Guogua back to the medicinal cuisine house. She closed the door with a bang. She didn't want Guogua to see the bloody scene just now. Ruan Qingshuang told herself again and again that Qin Wanner was outside. She saw Su Yin get shot, but she still firmly believed that Su Yin would be fine. She believed that Wanner would be able to solve all the problems. Guogua was so frightened that she fell asleep in a trance. However, she hugged Ruan Qingshuang tightly and whispered, Mom, Guogua is scared." Ruan Qingshuang was very distressed. She quickly hugged Guogua's little hand and said, "Mom is here. Guogua is not scared." After Qin Wanner shot Gong Yu, she quickly ran back to Su Yun. She looked at Su Yun's vest that was almost soaked in blood and couldn't help but cry silently. "Su Yun, you can't die. You can't die. I'll take you to the hospital right away." Hey. Who are you cursing? Who died? You feel uncomfortable seeing me alive and kicking, right? Su Yin endured the pain in his shoulder and sat up. No matter how strong a person was, they were still made of flesh. However, this small injury was not enough to take Su Yun's life. "You won't die? Then what do we do?" Qin Wanner was confused. She didn't know what to do when Su Yun was fine. F***ck. Based on what you said, it would be easier if I died. Yin didn't want to talk about this inauspicious topic with Qin Wan. He grinned and pointed at Gong Yu in the distance. "Do you know who you just killed?" Qin Wanner saw that Su Yun's life was not in danger and relaxed a lot. Therefore, Su Yun quickly changed the topic. "Goshawk Gong Yu." Su Yun spat out these words clearly. "Goshawk Gong Yu." Qin Wanner was instantly stunned. Goshawk Gong Yu was an A-class wanted criminal in Huaxia. He had committed several murders in the 3 provinces in the northeast and the northwest. He had also killed the police who were chasing him. His methods were extremely cruel and bloody. Furthermore, this person was very cunning. The police had spent a lot of energy and money to chase after him, but he had escaped. Moreover, the recent Feng Qiansui incident in Suheng seemed to be related to this person. He's the killer. Qin Wanner couldn't believe that she had killed a killer who had committed all kinds of crimes. "That's right." Su Yun nodded and said lightly. Qin Wanner was petrified. Cho Yun used a short minute to adjust her breathing. While the two were talking, she went straight to Gong Yu. She found a dark red card that looked like a mobile phone card on him. This should be the GPS device that they all carried. Thinking of this, Cho Yun returned to the rooftop and quickly found the other two on Qin Hu. It seemed that the two of them had found this place based on this thing. Chapter 26. Qin Wanner finally came to her senses. She quickly got up and looked around for Cho Yun. She narrowed her eyes and asked Su Yun, "Who is Cho Yun?" "Just like me." Su Yun was still grinning. Qin Wanner snorted. "How would I know who you are?" "Take a guess." "I'm not a bad person." Su Yun smiled helplessly. In order to cover up Cho Yun's identity as a killer, he had no other choice. At this time, police sirens sounded. Several police cars arrived. The sound of car doors and dense footsteps could be heard. Someone must have heard the gunshots and called the police. That was why so many police officers and special forces were here. Oh, Officer Chin, I am truly unable to repay your great kindness. If it weren't for you, I would have lost my life today. Su-yin suddenly hugged Chin Won-er and cried. He whispered in her ear. The credit is yours. I don't want the trouble. Who cares about the credit? Chin Won-er blushed as Su-yun's head was on her chest. Get up. Don't take advantage of me. F***ck, I just want to take advantage of you. You saved my life. I can repay you with my body. When Lu Guangming heard that someone had opened fire, he immediately brought dozens of police officers and special forces to the scene. When he saw Chin Won-er, he was slightly shocked. Chin Won-er, you didn't shoot him, did you? Director. Chin Won-er was speechless. She didn't know how to explain. Su-yun wiped his tears and held Lu Guangming's hand. Director, you must reward the brave comrade Chin Won. The man she shot was a great villain who had committed all kinds of crimes. More than a dozen armed police officers surrounding Gong Yu's body were shocked. Someone couldn't help but exclaim. Director Lu. This person is a national wanted criminal, Gong Yu, the killer known as Goshawk. Lu Guangming's face changed instantly. He quickly ran over to confirm the identity of the deceased. He couldn't help but exclaim, Comrade Chin Won-er, you've done a great service. This afternoon, the provincial police sent a message saying that someone who looks like Gong Yu appeared in Hudong City. I didn't expect you to catch him so quickly. Su-yin secretly smiled at Chin Won-er. Chin Won-er looked confused. What kind of achievement was this? If it wasn't for Su-yin risking his life to block the bullet, I'm afraid the one lying on the ground would be me. The dozens of police officers all looked at Chin Won-er with admiration. They all felt that she was indeed the famous violent policewoman of the Wenhui district. She could even take down a villain like Goshawk Gong Yu. This simply made these men feel extremely ashamed. Inspector Lu, I'll leave this to you. I'll take him to the hospital first. If he hadn't helped me, I wouldn't have been able to. Chin Won-er didn't care about the credit anymore. She was most concerned about Su-yun's injuries. Only then did Lu Guangming notice that someone was injured. He quickly nodded and said, I'll ask Xiaowu to drive you to the hospital. No need. I like riding a motorcycle. Su-yin grinned. He could hug her while riding a motorcycle, but he couldn't do that in a car. Chin Won-er wasn't in the mood to think about that. She didn't care where Su-yin was hugging her, as long as Su-yin was comfortable. She told him to sit tight, and then went straight to the nearest hospital. Fortunately, Su-yun's injuries weren't serious. They were just grazed by a bullet. Otherwise, Chin Won-er really didn't know how she could atone for her sins. After a simple bandage, the bleeding stopped. Su-yin grimaced for a while, and got used to the irritation of applying ointment to his skin. Fortunately, this young nurse, Su Wenya, was pretty and perky. Otherwise, Su-yin would have long given up and stopped bandaging. This hemostatic medicine was too ordinary. Even after applying such a thick layer, it did not have much of an effect. Chin Won-er, you actually dared to shoot an A-class wanted criminal. Ha, you're quite brave. Su-yin said lightly, have you thought about the consequences? What consequences? Chin Won-er was stunned. When she shot, she just thought that she couldn't let the criminal escape from her hands. She didn't know that the person she shot was actually a notorious A-class wanted criminal. Su-yin smiled and said, as the saying goes, the hunter will shoot the bird that sticks out. If you don't want to get into trouble, you'd better keep a low profile. Killing Gong Yu may make you famous, but at the same time, it will bring you more trouble. Compared to reputation, I think your life is more important. I know what you mean. Do you think I'm the kind of person who likes to show off? Chin Won-er naturally understood Su-yun's good intentions. Someone like Gong Yu would naturally have bad friends, and they were definitely not to be trifled with. If this matter was spread out, she would definitely attract unnecessary trouble. I will talk to the leader about this. Haha, it seems that you are not all big boobs and no brain. Su-yin laughed heartily. Chin Won-er stared at Su-yin. Just as she was about to say something, her phone rang. She took out her phone and saw that it was a call from the police station. Then, she walked out of the ward to answer the call. Inspector Liu told her to hurry back and write a report. This was the biggest case in the history of Hudong City's public security department. Moreover, all the leaders in the station attached great importance to this matter. It was said that the head of the station, Inspector Chun, personally got up in the middle of the night to go to the forensics department to identify the body. Qin Wan could also take the opportunity to tell the police station about Su Yun's advice. It was best not to let the outside world know about this matter. In fact, there was no need to worry about this at all. Hudong City's Public Security Department's director Chen Wei was a very steady person. He knew very well what kind of person Gong Yu was. There were too many fierce people in the underground world. If this matter was spread out, it was inevitable that Gong Yu's bad friends would come to seek revenge. Even if Qin Wan did not say anything, Chen Wei would still give the order to praise this matter in a low-key manner. This matter would only be praised in private and completely blocked from the outside world. After Qin Wan finished the call and returned to the emergency room, she found that Su Yun had disappeared. She hurriedly asked the nurse Su Wenya, "Where is he?" He said that he had something to do and had to leave first. Su Wenya's face was red, and she looked like she was in love. Qin Wan was speechless. Damn it! What kind of bewitching potion did Su Yun give this little girl? Was it so difficult to go to the police station with her and write a report? Was it so troublesome? When Su Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, the police had already left. The matter of Gong Yu's death was probably enough for them to have a meeting for the whole night. Cho Yun was waiting for him outside the door. "It's done so quickly?" Su Yun was surprised. Violent Fox Venerable was really good at dealing with the aftermath. Qin Hu's fate should be the same as Mountain Cat's yesterday, right? The person is cleaned up, but this thing is a little troublesome. Cho Yun frowned and stretched out her right hand. In the palm of her right hand were 3 dark red chips in the shape of mobile phone cards. With this thing, their people will find this place soon. Su Yun could not help but frown. Damn, isn't this troublesome? If I have to deal with these people every day in the future, I won't be able to sleep. Cho Yun, of course, knew how troublesome the situation was. The next time they come, I'm afraid it will be someone even more ruthless than Gong Yu. Although Cho Yun did not say it, she was already prepared to take Guogua away. She originally thought that Guogua would be safe here, and that she would be able to focus on her recovery here. But now, it seemed that everything was going to be in the past. So what's your plan? Su Yun knew very well what Cho Yun was thinking. He just wanted to hear what she had to say. Leave this place. Cho Yun's tone was very firm. She did not hide her thoughts from Su Yun. Even if she would die if she left this place, she had to take Guogua to a safe place. You really think that leaving is the best strategy out of the 36 stratagems? Su Yun smiled helplessly. It seemed that Cho Yun did not know how to be tactful. Cho Yun was silent. What else could she do? Isn't it just 3 positioning chips? Su Yun raised the corner of his mouth, and a smirk hung on his face. Instead of choosing to leave by yourself, why don't you choose to let them leave? Cho Yun suddenly raised her head. Why didn't she think of that? Su Yun pointed to the southeast. Hudong Airport is over there. You can go and see if there are any flights to South America or Africa. If there aren't any, you can go to Europe. Let them go on a trip. Cho Yun, who was as cold as ice, once again showed a stunning smile. I understand. Su Yun believed that Cho Yun could easily handle such a small matter. She only needed to secretly put the chips into the pockets of a few foreigners who came back to visit their relatives. Then, wouldn't the trouble be completely gone? Cho Yun did not waste any more time. She quickly got up and went to the airport. After watching Cho Yun leave, Su Yun returned to the 2nd floor of the medicinal cuisine house. He saw that Ruan Qingxuang's room was open, and the light was not turned off. He walked over with light steps. Ruan Qingxuang was sitting by the bed, guarding Guogua. She couldn't sleep until Su Yun came back. After an hour of silence, she had basically restrained her fear. Seeing that Su Yun had come back, Ruan Qingxuang finally breathed a sigh of relief. But then, Ruan Qingxuang's heart was in her mouth again. She looked at the bandage on Su Yun's shoulder softly and said bitterly, Your injury. It's just a flesh wound. It doesn't matter. Su-yin gestured for her to keep quiet. He was afraid that he would wake Guogua up. Ruan Qingshuang lowered her head and looked at Guogua. Then, she tucked her in and got up to close the door. Su-yin sat on the sofa in the living room. Ruan Qingshuang poured him a cup of hot water and asked in a low voice, "How can it not matter? That's a gunshot wound. What did the doctor say? Do you need to be hospitalized? Why did you come back on your own?" "The doctor said that my skin is thick and rough. Not to mention bullets. Even a grenade might not hurt me." Su-yin didn't want Ruan Qingshuang to worry. He patted his left shoulder with a high-spirited expression, as if nothing had happened. Ruan Qingshuang frowned and grabbed Su-yin's hand that was patting his shoulder. "Are you crazy? Why did you touch it when you were so seriously injured?" Su-yin grinned. He didn't expect Ruan Qingshuang to be so different when she was angry. My right shoulder was injured." Chapter 27. She's dealing with some personal matters. She should be back in a while. Su-yin picked up the glass and drank some water. He knew that Ruan Qingshuang would always be curious, but he really couldn't explain this matter. Ruan Qingshuang tried several times to hold it in, but in the end, she couldn't. "Who is Cho-yun? I always feel an inexplicable chill when I walk past her. What's the relationship between her and Guogua? Guogua. Whose child is she?" Su-yin leaned his body comfortably on the sofa. You ask so many questions at once. I don't know how to answer, and I'm not very clear. I'm just as curious as you." "Su-yin, don't lie to me," Ruan Qingshuang said. "You must know who Cho-yun is. Tell me. I promise I won't say anything." "Would you believe me if I said that Cho-yun is Guogua's personal bodyguard?" Su-yin shrugged his shoulders and grimaced because of the pain from his wound. Ruan Qingshuang stared at Su-yin. "Have you read too many online novels? Even if Guogua has a bodyguard, it should be a handsome guy. Moreover, it should be some kind of secret force. How can it be a girl? I think you're the one who read too many online novels." Su-yin's face was full of black lines. "That's all I know. If you don't believe me, I can't do anything." It wasn't convincing at all. However, Ruan Qingshuang saw that Su-yin's expression was really innocent, so she didn't say anything more. "Then you should rest early. We'll go to the hospital tomorrow morning to check on your injury." "I'll be fine after some sleep. I don't need to go to the hospital." Su-yin got up and went back to his room. He was really tired. After Su-yin closed the door, he took out a white porcelain bottle from his backpack. The healing speed of this powder was much faster than the injection of penicillin and the other anti-inflammatory and painkiller pills in the hospital. Although this powder looked like the sulfanilamide powder given to soldiers by the U.S. military during World War II, its effect was far better than the sulfanilamide powder used to disinfect labor pains. Its effect of inhibiting bacterial reproduction was even better. It was much more advanced than the outdated sulfanilamide powder. The powder was developed by Su-yin himself, so he was not worried about using it. Su-yin tore off the thick gauze that the hospital had bandaged him, and then sprinkled the medicinal powder on the wound. After a burst of sharp pain, Su-yin felt that his whole shoulder was very relaxed. One word: cool. Far away in a secret villa in the suburbs of Suang, a strong man with hawk-like eyes, brown hair, and a high nose was sitting on a huge lambskin sofa imported from Italy. He seemed to be keeping a low profile, and his light green face made him look especially mysterious. He held a glass of whiskey in his hand, and his eyes were fixed on the electronic map on his laptop. There were a few strong men standing next to the man with the green face. He suddenly frowned and said to himself, "Hedong City Airport. What are these three good-for-nothings doing there?" Suddenly, the three green dots on the screen disappeared, and the man crushed the glass in his hand. The hard liquor spilled all over the floor, but his hand was not hurt at all. "Boss, what's going on?" The locator disappeared. One of them said in surprise. "The signal must have been blocked on the plane," another person said with certainty. The brown-haired man with the green face had a cold look in his eyes. Things seemed to be out of his expectations. He said to the person behind him, "Go get Scorpion. Tell him I have something to ask him to investigate in Hedong City." "Yes. Yes." The man standing behind the sofa couldn't help but shiver. It seemed that the boss didn't trust them anymore. He was going to ask Red Scorpion to take action. Right now, the truly dangerous people had yet to arrive in Hudong City. About 2 hours later, Cho Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant from the airport. The three chips had flown to South America, Western Europe, and Africa respectively. She should be able to live a peaceful life for a while. Cho Yun walked to the door of Su Yun's room. She wanted to go in and say a few words to him, but she heard the sound of breathing in the room. Presumably, Su Yun was already asleep, so she didn't disturb him. After that, Cho Yun walked to the door of Ruan Qingshuang and Guoguo's room. She listened inside, and only then did she feel relieved and walk back to her own room. At this time, Ruan Qingshuang suddenly opened the bedroom door and said softly, "Cho Yun, can we talk?" Cho Yun paused and turned around. Ruan Qingshuang's voice was full of expectation. Cho Yun nodded. The two women turned on the floor lamp in the living room and sat on the left and right sides of the sofa. Ruan Qingshuang made 2 cups of light tea and handed one to Cho Yun. Cho Yun didn't refuse. Ruan Qingshuang wasn't a woman good with words. She thought for a long time but didn't know how to start. She drank half a cup of tea, but still couldn't say a word. Cho Yun wasn't a woman good with words either. After a few minutes, Cho Yun was the first to speak. "Qingshuang, thank you for taking care of Guogua these days. This is what I should do. You don't have to be so polite." Ruan Qingshuang was a little surprised by Cho Yun's words. After all, Cho Yun had always given her a cold and arrogant feeling. "Maybe you are curious about the matter between Guogua and me, but I can't tell you." Cho Yun's eyebrows exuded a touch of sadness. "I have my reasons for not telling you. You are Guogua's benefactor. I don't want you to get involved in our trouble. Please believe me, I don't want to tell you. It's all for your sake." Everyone in the underground world knew that only Feng Qiansui and Guogua could make Violent Fox Venerable think for them. Now Ruan Qingshuang had become the third. There was a saying that good people would be rewarded. Ruan Qingshuang's kindness even touched Cho Yun, who was as cold as ice. They met by chance, but Ruan Qingshuang could treat Guogua like her own daughter, taking care of her and doting on her. This alone was enough for her to get the favor of God. "I don't mean that. I don't want to ask about you." Ruan Qingshuang was anxious and didn't know how to express it. "I just want to know, will you take Guogua away?" Ruan Qingshuang's face was full of anxiety and uneasiness. She was afraid that Cho Yun would nod and say yes, but she felt that Cho Yun would definitely take Guogua away. There would be no other answer at all. This kind of entanglement and anxiety all appeared in her expression. "I don't know if I will in the future." Cho Yun was still stingy with her smile. A pair of limpid eyes looked at Ruan Qingshuang. "But at least not now." Ruan Qingshuang smiled and didn't say anything. She got up and walked to the room. Although she really didn't know how to face the result of Guogua leaving, she was glad that at least she didn't have to think about it now. "But if Guogua doesn't want to go, I will definitely not force her." Cho Yun's last sentence gave Ruan Qingshuang infinite hope. Ruan Qingshuang turned her head and said lightly, "Thank you." After watching Ruan Qingshuang walk back to the room, Cho Yun's red lips curved slightly. She said softly, "I should be the one thanking you." The conversation between the two women drilled into Su Yun's ears without missing a word. Su Yun felt goosebumps all over his body. Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun actually had such a gentle side. It was simply unbelievable. One had to know that when she killed Mountain Cat in Qinhu, she didn't even blink an eye. It was late at night. The entire Hudong city was extremely quiet. However, the quieter it was, the more uneasy Su Yun felt. It was just like the sky before a storm. It was always quiet, but when thunder struck, it meant that a downpour was coming. Sigh. Su Yun sighed bitterly. "I just want to pick up girls. How did I get involved with trouble again? Could it be that what Master said was true? That I'm just an unlucky guy who was born to be associated with trouble?" It was like that in that place. As long as Su Yun was involved in something, it would always be very troublesome. Even if it seemed like a simple task, it would eventually lead to a series of big problems. It would even involve big shots that gave everyone a headache. You can't blame society for your bad luck, and you can't blame the government for your bad luck. Su-Yun yawned deeply. If he didn't go to bed now, it would be dawn soon. He didn't want to drag his tired body to the kitchen to cook tomorrow. Go to sleep. There had been a lot of trouble in the past 2 days. Even if he was unlucky, it should be time for him to rest for a few days, right? After all, when Su-Yun first arrived in Hudong City, he liked this place because it was peaceful and had many beautiful women. As he thought about it, Su-Yun went to play chess with the Duke of Zhou. The Duke of Zhou with the balls. The Hudong City Bureau quickly studied the results of the handling of Gong Yu's case. Although Qin Wan'er had made a great contribution, Director Chen Wei had spoken. Although this matter was worthy of praise and should be praised, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, this matter must not be spread out. Anyway, Qin Wan'er didn't like to face the flash of the media, so she was very happy to deal with it this way. Although there were no gongs and drums to praise her, Qin Wan'er was still praised to a level she had never reached before. The police rank on her shoulder had also been promoted from the most ordinary police officer to the second-grade superintendent in an instant. What did it mean to be promoted 3 times in a row? What did it mean to have a meteoric rise? Qin Wan'er's position was directly promoted. She was directly promoted by Director Chen to the deputy director of the Wenhui District Police Station. It could be said that she was the youngest deputy director in history. His promotion as a deputy director was based on evidence. He was different from those government officials who rose to the top on a rocket for no reason. Little Qin, you did a good job. The people need police officers like you. Director Chen Wei patted Qin Wan'er's shoulder and said, "Keep up the good work. We all have faith in you." "Thank you for your encouragement, Director Chen." Qin Wan'er saluted righteously. Chen Wei smiled faintly. Even now, he found it hard to believe that Gong Yu, an A-level wanted criminal with the nickname of Goshawk, would be defeated by a policewoman from a small Wenhui District police station in Hudong City. Chapter 28. Qin Wan'er had been listening to the commendation meeting for the whole morning. After the meeting ended at noon, she immediately found a chance to sneak out. She was not in the mood to listen to the leader's speeches. She only wanted to know how Su-Yun's injury was. At noon, the business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was still booming. Because Su-Yun was injured, Ruan Qingshuang did not allow him to enter the kitchen. However, Su-Yun still insisted on cooking with his left hand, and said that he was fine. In fact, Ruan Qingshuang was also very puzzled. She clearly remembered that Su-Yun's arm was bleeding last night, but the scar on his shoulder today did not show any trace of bleeding. However, she was still worried and decided to stay in the kitchen to help Su-Yun personally. "Sister Wana, you are here. Guogua dreamed of you last night. In the dream, you caught the bad guy." After all, Guogua was a child. After the shock yesterday, she did not remember anything. She had completely regarded what happened yesterday as a nightmare. "Guogua, good girl." Qin Wan'er leaned over and kissed Guogua's little face. She looked back at Chou Yun, who was serving the dishes. She could not believe that the cold and arrogant woman from yesterday was willing to be a waitress in the medicinal cuisine restaurant today. "Where is your mother?" "Mom is helping Dad in the kitchen." Guogua pouted her lips toward the kitchen. "They are even sick of cooking together. You still don't want to admit that you are in a relationship." Qin Wan'er laughed dryly, pinched Guogua's cheek, and walked to the kitchen. Guogua's big watery eyes rolled. A love triangle is really scary. Chou Yun had long been used to Guogua's nonsense, so she walked past the front desk without any pressure and went to the table where the customer had just left to clean up the tableware. The first thing Qin Wan'er said when she rushed into the kitchen was, "Su-Yun, are you crazy? You are still cooking after being shot. Do you want your life or money? F***CK. Can you lower your voice? Are you afraid that others won't know that I was shot?" Although Su-Yun thought so in his heart, he didn't say it out loud. "Then why don't you hurry up and help me? Quick, wash and cut this eel for me." Ruan Qingshuang said helplessly. "Wan'er is here. You should persuade him. No matter what I say to him, he won't listen." Qin Wan'er nodded. She walked over and pulled Su-Yun's shoulder. "Look at your wound." After saying that, she was stunned. Yesterday, She was still bleeding in the hospital. How come there was a dark scar today? It was as if a new layer of skin had already grown. Are you even human? So fast. Qin Wan'er's jaw almost dropped. She had never seen a wound heal so fast. Suyin really wanted to hit her with a spoon. Don't you know how to talk? Why are you betting with me? Are you only satisfied if I don't stop bleeding? Yes. Qin Wan'er rolled her eyes at Suyin and said angrily, You don't know how to appreciate others' kindness. It's as if I care about you. Suyin pointed at his injured shoulder. You are really heartless. Who did I do this for? My reputation is ruined. I have never suffered such a big loss since I was young. It's okay if you don't want to take responsibility, but you still have the nerve to make sarcastic remarks? I will take responsibility. From today onwards, I will live here. Qin Wan'er immediately made a decision. Sister Qingshuang, can you give me a room? Really? Wan Qingshuang was stunned. She looked surprised. She totally thought that Qin Wan'er was joking. Qin Wan'er nodded and said with certainty, Of course. How can I joke about this? Although I am a free handyman, I can eat a delicious and hot medicinal cuisine every day. Why? Am I not welcome? In fact, it took Qin Wan'er a whole night to make up her mind. She had not solved the doubts in her heart, so she had to figure out who Chou Yun was. She dared to confront a vicious killer like Gong Yu, which meant that Chou Yun was definitely not an ordinary person. Qin Wan'er, as a police officer, was certainly very worried about such a dangerous person living in the medicinal cuisine house. Although Suyin emphasized that Chou Yun had no malice toward Guogua and Ruan Qingshuang, she still decided to trust her sixth sense and keep an eye on this dangerous person. Moreover, Suyin was in the medicinal cuisine house. This guy, who usually looked like a flirt, could actually jump in front of her to block the bullet at the most critical moment. Suyun's behavior really moved Qin Wan'er, but besides that, Qin Wan'er was more curious about Suyin. A guy who could sense danger so keenly was simply incredible. Moreover, Suyin could talk and laugh even after being hit by a bullet, which was not something that anyone could do. When Qin Wan'er was in the police academy, she also knew a few veterans who had been baptized by real battles. She was afraid that even they would not be able to laugh in the situation yesterday. Suyin said that he had only been in the army for 2 years, and was not a volunteer soldier. This statement was completely denied by Qin Wan'er. How could a guy who had only been in the army for 2 years have that kind of fearless spirit? A person who could make the judgment like Suyin did at the critical moment of life and death must have a lot of unknown secrets. The most important point was what Qin Wan'er wanted to know the most. How did Suyin do it? His speed was as fast as a bullet. With Qin Wan'er's knowledge of advanced mathematics, high-energy physics, quantum mechanics, ballistics, and precision guidance technology, it was impossible for a human body to be faster than a bullet. Even the weakest police pistol could reach 350 meters per second. At that time, Gong Yu was only about 10 meters away from them, and the bullet only needed 0.3 seconds to reach Qin Wan'er's body. Theoretically, the limit of a human's reaction time was 0.1 seconds. This was far longer than the time it took a bullet to reach Qin Wan'er. Therefore, Qin Wan'er could not explain why Suyin would take a bullet for her. It was such a heaven-defying action. This was also the reason why Qin Wan'er felt that Suyin was not a human, and the most important reason why she wanted to move to the medicinal cuisine house. She was really curious about Suyin. If Suyin could help her in the future, wouldn't those serious cases be easily solved? When Ruan Qingshuang heard that Qin Wan'er wanted to move over, she was naturally very happy. Welcome. Of course, welcome. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Guogua will definitely be very happy if she knows. Guogua had already heard the decision in the kitchen. She poked her head in and said to Suyin, Daddy, are you happy? Qin Wan'er, you really don't think of yourself as an outsider. Although Suyin was arguing with Qin Wan'er verbally, he was very much in favor of Qin Wan'er moving in. After all, Qin Wan'er was a police officer. If she was there, Ruan Qingshuang would have less trouble. In Huaxia society, the identity of a police officer was very useful. Of course, this did not include the underground world. At least on the surface, Qin Wan-er's words were much more important than his and Cho Yun's. Most of the gangsters would not dare to disturb them anymore. However, if Qin Wan-er stayed in the medicinal cuisine house, Cho Yun would definitely feel uncomfortable, right? Su Yun was definitely not thinking too much about this. Cho Yun had now included Qin Wan-er in the list of people she could attack. After all, Qin Wan-er was a police officer, and Cho Yun was the #1 assassin of the Swang underworld. Originally, the two of them did not get along. Sister Wan-er, Guogwa welcomes you. Guogwa did not think that Qin Wan-er and Cho Yun would have any conflicts. She only knew that Qin Wan-er could help them teach the bad guys a lesson. Since Guogwa had spoken, Cho Yun could only say nothing. If you want to follow me, I don't object. But you must not bring a lot of trouble to the police. Su Yun also reminded Qin Wan-er first. If she provoked the police in the restaurant every day, he would not give her face. Okay, in the future, if you can deal with people by yourself, I will not use my connections with the police. But the premise is that the other party must not be a good person. Qin Wan-er promised Su Yun immediately. But you also have to promise me that if I need your help, you must not refuse. Su Yun shrugged. He knew that this girl did not have any good intentions. It depends on my mood. The process was not surprising. Qin Wan-er successfully entered the medicinal cuisine house. She thought that it was a good idea to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. First, she could protect the safety of Ruan Qingshuang and Guogwa. Second, she could find a chance to catch Cho Yun. Finally, she could have a chance to figure out who the mysterious guy, Su Yun, was. Of course, after Qin Wan-er joined the big team of the medicinal cuisine house, she immediately went into work and directly replaced Ruan Qingshuang's position. Sister Qingshuang, you just take care of the money. Leave it to me and this guy. Ruan Qingshuang knew that she couldn't control any of them, so she didn't say anything more. Anyway, Su Yun and Qin Wan-er would at most argue a little. They wouldn't go so far as to flip the roof. Guogwa blinked her cute big eyes and said to Ruan Qingshuang, Mom, Guogwa feels that the relationship is very complicated. What do you want to say? Ruan Qingshuang looked at Guogwa's delicate and smart little face, and knew that this little girl did not know what she looked like. Guogwa shook her head helplessly. Now I don't even know which one of you is in love with Dad. Ruan Qingshuang smiled and bent down to hug Guogwa. She found that she really could not leave Guogwa. If one day she did not have this little girl who was full of nonsense, her life would be much less fun. Mom, why are you crying? Guogwa shouted to the kitchen indignantly. Dad, because you cheated on me, Mom is crying. Damn. Su Yun almost threw the ladle away. What the hell was going on? Ruan Qingshuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. She picked up Guogwa and said, Guogwa, if you talk nonsense again, Mom will not like you. Then Guogwa will not say anything. Guogwa stuck out her tongue and lay in Ruan Qingshuang's arms. Cho Yun's cold eyes flashed with a trace of gentleness. From childhood to adulthood, no one could give Guogwa such motherly gentleness. Guogwa lacked this kind of love. Perhaps she really should choose to stay forever. She should choose to stay forever for Guogwa's sake. Qin Wan-er washed the vegetables and deliberately pretended to be careless to Su Yun. Thank you for yesterday. Thank me for what? Su Yun smiled. Qin Wan-er smiled sincerely. Thank you for saving me. You don't want to marry me, do you? Su Yun looked up at Qin Wan-er in surprise. Qin Wan-er's mouth twitched. I just want to thank you for saving my life. You'd better not think too much. Chapter 29. After working for a while at noon, Qin Wan-er went to work. She also said that she would go home at night and pack her things before coming here. Cho Yun didn't say anything and went out. Su Yun knew that she was going to patrol the surroundings to see if there were any clues. Guogwa, go upstairs with Mommy and rest for a while. Ruan Qingshuang held Guogwa's little hand and said. She just wanted to catch up on sleep after what happened in the middle of the night last night. Guogwa, of course, didn't have any objections. After figuring out the account, she went upstairs with Ruan Qingshuang. Daddy, I'll leave this to you. Don't go looking for flowers. What the hell? Su Yun almost choked on his saliva. This was a medicinal cuisine restaurant. It wasn't one of the 8 alleys in Beijing. Why are you looking for flowers? Why are you asking for willows? Ruan Qingshuang just smiled at this. Although it had only been a short time, she had already gotten used to these 2 guys shouting in her ears. Guoguo went upstairs with her little hands behind her back. She didn't care about what Su Yin was thinking now. Su Yin sat on the chair at the front desk of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He had been waiting for the few punks who had been hanging around the door more than a dozen times to come in. However, those guys seemed to be very worried about something and didn't dare to come in and show their faces. Little hooligans will always be little hooligans. They will never be able to make a name for themselves. Suddenly, Guogua, who had already gone upstairs, suddenly ran down. She stared at Su Yin with a pair of watery eyes and said nervously, "Daddy, Mommy's underwear is broken." Su Yin was speechless. What did this kid mean? How is it broken? Well, Guogua suspects that it's broken, Guogua said seriously. Ruan Qingshuang shouted upstairs, "Guogua, come back here. If you keep spouting nonsense, Mama will really get angry." Guogua pouted, feeling wronged. "I'm just telling the truth." "Ha ha ha, Guogua, you can broadcast more news like this in the future." Su Yin had already begun to imagine the moment her undergarments burst open. Ruan Qingshuang's delicate body would definitely break free in an instant. That kind of scene. Too exciting. However, at this time, the cowardly gangsters also pushed the door open and entered. Guogua was stunned and looked at them nervously. Su Yin stood up and patted Guogua's little head. "Guogua, go upstairs first. After Godfather has dealt with these annoying rats, I'll take you to buy underwear for your mother, okay?" "Okay." Guogua nodded excitedly. "Guogua wants one too." Su Yin was speechless. "What the hell do you want? You can wear it." Guogua lowered her head and looked at her chest. "I'm about to develop. It's better to be prepared than not prepared." F***ck. Su Yin decided not to communicate with Guogua. Anyway, no matter what he said, she wouldn't understand. The gangsters walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. They first looked around and then looked at Su Yin with a vigilant look, as if they were the victims. "Why? Does the wolf dog gang want to stop?" Su Yin raised his head and smiled at the gangsters who pushed the door open. "Are you itching after not beating for a few days?" The calmest one among the gangsters hurriedly said, "Kid, our boss asked me to pass a message to you. Today is the last time to consider. If you think clearly, give us a reply. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." In fact, these gangsters came with a mission. They wanted to eat and dash before passing the message. However, they didn't expect that there was a police car parked in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The most popular police officer, Qin Wan was working in the restaurant. Therefore, they didn't dare to come in. Now that they were sure that Qin Wan had left, they dared to come to the restaurant to pass the message. "Well, I'm in a good mood. Hurry up and get out of here." Su Yin was too lazy to pay attention to this group of gangsters. "Tell Wang Xuanxi if he provokes me again, I'll teach him how to write the word death." At this time, Cho Yun also came back from patrolling outside. When she saw the gangsters, she was annoyed. She asked Su Yin doubtfully, "Gangsters from the 4th Wolf Gang?" Su Yin shrugged his shoulders and showed that he was very helpless. When the gangsters saw a beauty suddenly walk in, they couldn't help but feel surprised. No wonder this kid would rather mingle in a small restaurant than with Uncle Shi. It turned out that in addition to the beautiful lady boss and the beautiful police officer, Qin Wan the waitress of this small medicinal cuisine restaurant, was also such a stunner. Cho Yun didn't pay attention to Su Yin anymore. She turned her head and looked at the gangsters. Suddenly, she showed a piercing cold look. "Get out!" Although the few hooligans who came to pass the message knew that the owner of the medicinal cuisine, Su Yin, was a fierce person, they still couldn't accept being scolded by a waitress. Even if this waitress was a top-grade beauty, she still couldn't humiliate them like this. "Bitch, I gave you face, didn't I?" The leader of the gangsters showed his ferocious look. "Well, you're awesome. You're not picky when you want to be beaten." Su Yin looked at the gangster with pity and sympathy. How could the fox tail of the violent fox venerable be touched by anyone? "Don't beat them to death. They have to go back and pass the message for me." Su Yin sighed. "Alas, Why are there so many people who don't know the difference between life and death? After that, Suyin went straight to the stairs, as if he didn't care whether they would bully a girl or not. After Suyin went upstairs, the pressure on the gangsters relaxed a lot. Little girl, how much money can you earn as a waitress in this shabby restaurant? If you follow me, I guarantee that you'll earn more in a day than in a year. One of the gangsters touched his chin and said lecherously. The other gangsters also laughed. The people in your restaurant don't care about your business. Why don't you follow us? We'll eat and play with you. Ha ha ha. Cho Yun's murderous aura became more and more intense. These guys who didn't know the difference between life and death actually laughed out loud. They were the typical type of people who didn't know how to write the word death. We brothers are very strong in all aspects. The one on the bed is also very strong. Without waiting for the gangster to finish speaking, Cho Yun had already kicked him in the crotch. Although this guy wouldn't die, if he traveled back to ancient times and became a father-in-law, he probably wouldn't need surgery. When the other three gangsters saw this, they were furious. However, Cho Yun didn't give them any chance. Straight punch, whip kick, knee knock. Simply and neatly, all of them were knocked down. The four gangsters all knelt on the ground while covering the place where they were hit. I'll say it again. Cho Yun obviously didn't care about these small fries. She didn't even look at the gangsters kneeling on the ground and angrily shouted, "Scram!" The gangsters didn't care about the pain as they rolled and crawled out. They swore that they had never seen such a terrifying woman. Her movements were as fast as a phantom. Was she a human or a ghost? When Guogua saw Suyin go upstairs, she ran out of the room and asked, "Dad, when are we going to buy underwear for Mom?" Wan Qingshuang couldn't do anything about Guogua. She was speechless. This. Suyin sighed in his heart. "We can go anytime. It's just that I don't know the size. This thing has to be tried on." "I know 34D, Guogua said with certainty. "Dad, can't you tell? Mom isn't as small as Sister Qi Ling, F***CK. She even knew this." Suyin only felt hot blood rushing to his head. What did 34D mean? A woman that couldn't be controlled with one hand. "Phone Guogua, if you say one more word, I'll spank your butt today." Wan Qingshuang was completely defeated by this girl. "Go into the house for Mom." "Dad, Mom gets angry very easily recently." Guogua looked wronged, her big eyes blinking. "Menopausal women are so scary." Wan Qingshuang froze. It was better not to argue with her. She had already described herself as a menopausal woman. "Then let's go." Suyin laughed heartily. "Qingshuang, I'll take Guogua out to play. Children will be bored to death if they stay at home all day. Do you want to come with us?" "Dad, let's go buy underwear for Mom." Guogua still insisted. Suyin laughed until his stomach hurt. Okay, no problem. The lower beam is crooked." Wan Qingshuang was completely convinced by this big and small guy. "I'm not going with you." Suyin pulled Guogua downstairs. Cho Yun originally wanted to stop them, but when she saw Guogua's eager expression, she didn't bear to. "I'll go with you." "That's great. Sister Cho Yun and Mom's cup size are the same. You can help Mom try it." Guogua was really not polite. Cho Yun rolled her eyes. Silence is golden. The two of them took Guogua out of the medicinal cuisine house. Before they walked far, Guogua seemed to have forgotten the mission of going out. One moment, she was shouting about going to the children's park, and the next moment, she was shouting about going to the water park. Suyin absolutely had no objection to going to the water park. When he thought about the violent fox Venerable wearing a swimsuit, he was really excited in an instant. Moreover, there must be a lot of bikini beauties in the water park. It was definitely a man's paradise. "You can't go." Cho Yun rejected Guogua's various requests. She rejected all of the crowded and messy places. Guogua suddenly stopped and looked up at the sky thoughtfully. She sighed like a little adult. "I haven't played with my friends for a long time." Hearing Guogua's melancholy, Cho Yun's face became gloomy. In a few days, it would be the day of school. Guogua was originally going to be in the first grade, but now because of various things, she was stranded in this place. "Guogua, do you want to go to school?" Su Yun's lips curled up slightly. He didn't want Guogua to have a childhood with regrets. Of course I do. Guogua curled her lips and said with yearning but unwillingness in her heart, but the medicinal cuisine house is so busy, and my mother is working so hard. I have to help. Su Yin helplessly laughed. This little girl, it was as if the medicinal cuisine house wouldn't work without her. We can hire another person, then you can go to school without worries. Really? Guogua's face was full of expectation. After all, she was a child and couldn't hide her true thoughts in her heart. Su Yun, Guogua's household registration is not in Hudong. About going to school. Cho Yun also didn't want to say something that would hurt Guogua's mood at this time. However, if she didn't say it clearly now, if because of this reason, Guogua couldn't go to school, it would only make her sadder. Chapter 30. Su Yun laughed and said, I think this little thing won't be difficult for Qin. Yes. Guogua clapped her hands and said, I'm going to find Sister Wan. Well, if she can help Guogua go to school, then Guogua will buy her underwear. Hee. Guogua suddenly thought of the main topic and said, Quick, let's go buy underwear for Mom. Sister Cho Yun, you also want one. Anyway, Dad is treating. Should we buy Robila or Sindel? F***ck. Su Yun almost wanted to cry when he heard that. She was indeed the precious daughter of Feng Qiansui. She really knew what was good. She mentioned the world's top brands. The cheapest set would cost thousands of yuan. Guogua, do I look like a rich person to you? Su Yun wanted to cry but had no tears. Okay, Dad, don't pretend. Guogua curled her lips and said, You're so stingy and you still want to chase Mom and Cho Yun? If you don't even have this awareness, I can't help you. Cho Yun completely turned a deaf ear to Guogua's words. It seemed that she had already practiced the magic of turning a deaf ear. Robila is very expensive. Su Yun blinked his eyes pitifully. Guogua shook her head disapprovingly and said, Dad, do you have to force me to say that you have a platinum card issued by the World Bank in your bag? Let alone Cho Yun, even Su Yun was stunned. This little girl really knew too much. Cho Yun had to re-examine Su Yun again. The platinum card of the World Bank was not something that anyone was qualified to apply for. Feng Qiansui wanted to apply for this card in the past, but he was rejected. In a word, this card could not be applied for with money. What kind of background did Su Yun have? I do have a card, but unfortunately, I don't have money. What should I do? Su Yun did not hide anything. Guogua's eyes turned slyly and said, Dad, do you want me to say the overdraft limit of this card? Okay, you're good. I admit defeat. Su Yun was really impressed. However, he wouldn't use the World Bank's platinum card to buy a few underwear. That would be too embarrassing. Guogua decided to rob the rich to help the poor. She picked 5 pieces in one breath. 1 for Cho Yun, 1 for Qin, and 2 for her mother, Ruan Shuang. There was also a pink and cute one that he had chosen for himself. He had said that she would be able to wear it after a few years when she had developed. Su Yun was speechless. You didn't have to choose a 36G size, did you? This girl was really confident about her future figure. Several female clerks in the underwear store couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. This little girl was a lovable master wherever she went. It was just that her father was a disgrace. Cho Yun was afraid that Guogua would say something shocking, so she didn't say anything to refuse. She could only let this little devil do whatever she wanted. Su Yun's heart ached when he swiped the card. 5 pieces of underwear, which added up to less than 3 pounds of fabric, actually cost him nearly 30,000 yuan. This world was crazy. As soon as the 3 of them walked out of the flagship store, Su Yun's phone rang. When he saw that it was Qin, he picked it up and didn't hesitate to ask, What's wrong? Were you kidnapped again? Where have you been? The medicinal cuisine restaurant was smashed. Qin didn't have time to joke with Su Yun. After receiving the call, Qin was a little confused. The medicinal cuisine restaurant had 2 perverts, Su Yun and Cho Yun. How could it be smashed by some gangsters? Then she thought that Su Yun might have gone out, so she called Su Yun immediately. The bright smile on Su Yun's face gradually disappeared. What did you say? I'll be there right away. No matter where you are, go back immediately. Hung up the phone and got into the police car. She urged the driver, Xiaowu, hurry up. What's wrong, Dad? Guogua saw Su Yun's expression and couldn't help but ask in confusion. Su Yun put down the phone and narrowed his eyes. Several cold lights flashed in his eyes. If Su Yun's brothers were present, they would know that their boss was angry, very angry. Something happened to the medicinal cuisine restaurant? Cho Yun guessed it right. Su Yun nodded. I'll go back first. You take care of Guogua. While they were talking, Su Yun had already taken big strides and rushed out. His speed instantly shocked a few passers-by. He was running like Usain Bolt in flip-flops. The street photographer was about to record a video and upload it to the internet, but when he turned on the recording function, he couldn't find anyone. Guogua exclaimed and was very excited. You are indeed Superman, Dad. Cho Yun wasn't crazy enough to carry Guogua and race with Su Yun. She walked to the side of the road and hailed a taxi. She didn't need to rush back. Su Yun could definitely handle it. After all, the people who did this kind of thing were definitely some low-class hooligans. When Su Yun rushed back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, he only saw a mess. The glass doors and windows were smashed, and the floor was full of glass shards. None of the 20 or so tables in the restaurant were spared. All of them were overturned and cracked. The ceiling lights were all destroyed, and the front desk was smashed beyond recognition. It was almost unrecognizable. The medicinal cuisine restaurant was Ruan Qingshuang's painstaking effort. It was the hope that she had endured a lot of hardships alone. Su Yun knew very well what the medicinal cuisine restaurant meant to Ruan Qingshuang. It meant everything to her. Ruan Qingshuang stood in the mess. Although she was seriously injured, she still looked at her medicinal cuisine restaurant with a determined gaze. But after all, a woman was a woman. When Ruan Qingshuang saw Su Yun appear, all of her strength turned into two streams of grievance. Su Yun didn't say anything. He just went forward and hugged Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang had never felt this kind of warmth. Su Yun's hug gave her endless courage and a sense of security. Before she met Su Yun, perhaps this kind of blow was enough to make Ruan Qingshuang completely lose her confidence. But now it was different. Even if she was alone, she believed that she could get through it. Moreover, she had so many people who cared about her now. Qin Wan'er also rushed over with people. The scene in front of her was simply unbearable. Where are those people? Qin Wan'er looked at Ruan Qingshuang's heartbroken expression and asked with heartache. Su Yun's cold eyes swept over the messy medicinal cuisine restaurant again. Gone. Qin Wan'er was anxious, but she had nowhere to vent her anger. What were you doing when the accident happened? Why didn't you stay in the restaurant? Why did you go out and mess around? Su Yun also secretly regretted leaving. He really didn't expect that the fourth wolf gang would come for revenge so soon. Seeing that the few policemen behind Qin Wan'er were still in the mood to smile and toast each other with cigarettes, Su Yun was angry. He said sarcastically, Hedong City's security is so good. It's all thanks to you guys. Kid, be polite. Xiaowu was unhappy when he heard that. He went forward and pushed Su Yun fiercely. This push really shocked Xiaowu. He used a lot of strength, but Su Yun didn't move at all. Did I say something wrong? Su Yun was polite to Qin Wan'er only because of the special circumstances. He had absolutely no patience for other policemen. Xiaowu's Adam's apple moved. He really didn't say anything. However, Su Fan and the other policemen behind him were unhappy. They all surrounded him. Su Yun sneered and didn't say anything. He believed that Qin Wan'er wouldn't let them mess around. Kid, I dare you to say one more word. Believe it or not, we'll take you to the station and let you have a taste of what it's like. Su Fan was furious. The other policemen also stared at him angrily. Shut up. Qin Wan'er turned around and scolded. Have some backbone. If you have the ability, go and catch the person who smashed the restaurant. Don't be arrogant here. I asked you to come here to handle the case, not to pretend to be fierce. What are you shouting for? If you have the ability, shout at the hooligans. Qin Wan'er's words completely shocked the policeman. Ruan Qingshuang was frightened by the furious Qin Wan'er. She wanted to persuade Qin Wan'er, but she really didn't know what to say. Sigh, she couldn't help it. Who asked her to be like this? Everyone in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was arrogant, even Guogua. Wan Qingshuang was the only Mr. Nice Guy, no Ms. Nice Guy. Suyin didn't say anything more. After all, Qin Wan had gotten his approval. She was a selfless and upright policewoman. Suyin, I will definitely give Sister Qingshuang an explanation. I will never let the criminals go unpunished. Qin Wan's heart was filled with righteousness. She wanted to live up to the national emblem on her body. With Qin Wan's words, Suyin believed that he had not misjudged her. Suyin said lightly, "This case doesn't need to be investigated. It was done by the Fourth Wolf Gang. You took away the bald Wei Laosi, who came to the medicinal cuisine restaurant first. You also caught Chen Sampao in the casino on Bowen Street. They are all from the Fourth Wolf Gang. Their boss is called Wang Xuanxi." Su Yun's words stirred up a storm. The policemen behind Qin Wan all looked at each other. The Fourth Wolf Gang. Although this gang was recognized to have done all kinds of bad things, the police really couldn't do anything to them. For example, last time in the casino, Wang Xuanqi easily found a scapegoat, and he still had the title of an expert in Tibetan Mastiff training. Okay, I will definitely catch them. Qin Wan snorted, turned around and waved her hand. Let's go. Su Yun watched Qin Wan and the policeman leave, but the anger in his heart didn't subside. Because Su Yun was very clear about the principles of the police, so it must have restricted Qin Wan's behavior. Presumably, he still had to rely on himself. Wan Qingshuang saw Su Yun's gloomy face and patted him on the shoulder gently. Well, it has happened. We can't change anything. Fortunately, we have some money now. If we redecorate, maybe the business will be better. Seeing that Wan Qingshuang could be so optimistic, Su Yun's heart also relaxed a lot. It seemed that Wan Qingshuang's strength was far higher than he expected. Cho Yun and Guogua finally came back by taxi. After seeing the miserable situation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Guogua couldn't help crying. She cried and called for her mother, and then plunged into Wan Qingshuang's arms. Those gangsters did it. Cho Yun's eyes flashed a strong murderous intent. Wan Qingshuang was Guogua's benefactor, so she was also her benefactor. Bullying Cho Yun's benefactor was disrespectful to Cho Yun. A group of rotten fish and shrimps. Although Su Yun's tone was understated, his eyes were still cold. Chapter 31. After Qin Weiner returned to the police station, she was furious. She slapped the table and said, "Don't be idle. Follow me to catch Wang Xuanxi now." "Inspector Qin, don't be impulsive. Wang Xuanxi is not someone we can catch." "Yes, Deputy Inspector Qin. This matter is not that simple. I think we should think about it carefully." Qin Weiner was even more furious after hearing these words. The Fourth Wolf Gang is so rampant now. How can you tolerate it? Fine. You can tolerate it, but I can't. If you don't want to go, I will go by myself. The title of the violent policewoman wasn't for nothing. When Qin Weiner was angry, even 10 cows couldn't stop her. All the police officers went forward to stop her. Xiao Wu saw that the situation was not good. He quickly got up and went upstairs to find Inspector Liu. "Get out of my way." Qin Weiner stared at everyone angrily. "Do you think you are worthy of your rank?" At this time, Lu Guangming walked in through the crowd. "Little Qin, who made you so angry?" Qin Weiner was slightly stunned. Although she was angry, Lu Guangming was still the inspector. She couldn't not give him any face. "Inspector Liu, I want to know why we didn't catch Wang Xuanxi. The Fourth Wolf Gang he organized is notorious in our district. They bully the weak and bully the weak. Why did we let them do as they pleased?" Lu Guangming's expression was serious. He sighed and said, "Little Qin, do you know who Wang Xuanxi is?" "Of course I know." Qin Weiner snorted. "He is an evil person. He is a mafia boss who runs a casino. Not only that." Lu Guangming shook his head. "Putting aside the fact that Wang Xuanxi is the boss of the Fourth Wolf Gang, he is the most famous dog owner in our district. The Tibetan Mastiff breeding training base in our district is his. He is a famous operator. He raises Tibetan Mastiffs, breeds Tibetan Mastiffs, and domesticates Tibetan Mastiffs. These are all legal operations. We don't have evidence to catch him. Qin Weiner was completely speechless by Lu Guangming's words. You said he is the boss of the Fourth Wolf Gang. Where is the evidence? Lu Guangming snorted. You said he runs a casino. Where is the evidence? We are the police. Not a scoundrel. When we do things, we pay attention to evidence, not relationships. But they were the ones who smashed the medicinal cuisine restaurant. I can guarantee this with my head. Qin Wan-er was the kind of person who would not lower her head, even in front of Lu Guangming. Lu Guangming slammed the table. What I want is not the head. What I want is evidence. As long as there was evidence, they could arrest him. No one's head can be used without evidence. Qin Wan-er suddenly clenched her fists. Fine, then I will find the evidence for you. She did not want to believe that Wang Xuanxi did not have any evidence. There must be a secret hidden in the Tibetan Mastiff breeding base. If you don't want to go, I'll go by myself. Suyin called Chang and asked him if he knew any friends who were engaged in renovation. Chang drove a second-hand Ford Kong and took Xiaofei to find Xiaofei's uncle, who was the contractor. The three of them arrived at the medicinal cuisine restaurant an hour later. Seeing the state of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Chang could not help but be shocked. Brother Yin, this was done by the Fourth Wolf Gang? Yes. Su Yin did not waste time on this topic. Let's talk about the renovation first. Xiaofei chuckled and introduced, Big Brother Yin, this is my uncle. He has a construction team and has done a lot of renovation work. The workers under him are very meticulous. I have told him that we are not outsiders. Hello, my name is Peng Gang. Xiaofei's uncle was tall and sturdy, but he looked very kind. Su Yin. Su Yin also smiled and introduced himself. You are Xiaofei's uncle, so I will not say much. I will trouble you with the design and construction. Money is not a problem, as long as the work is meticulous. Peng Gang patted his chest. Brother, don't worry. You are Xiaofei's friend, so I will definitely do my best. I don't care about money, as long as it is enough for the living expenses of my brothers who are working. Su Yin saw that Peng Gang was a straightforward person, so he directly made a decision. When can we start work? Anytime. I will get someone to clean up this afternoon. Half a day is not your salary. Peng Gang was indeed a straightforward person. Su Yin also laughed heartily. Good. Brother Peng, what do you want to eat? Just tell the lady boss. You can eat as much as you want. The three people upstairs heard the sound and ran down. Wan Qingshuang was startled. What are you doing? Renovation. Su Yin shrugged. How can we operate without renovation? Wan Qingshuang was very grateful. She did not expect Su Yin to find someone so quickly. Then how much is the renovation cost? Mom, you don't have to worry about that. Dad will definitely settle it. Guogua would definitely help her mother keep the money. Let's go up and try on the underwear. Mom will definitely be sexy in it. Wan Qingshuang was embarrassed by Guogua and blushed. She quickly carried her up. Chou Yun looked at Su Yin and the other three people. She did not say anything and turned to go upstairs. Chang and Xiaofei were about to drool. They could not help but envy Brother Yun's good fortune. He actually lived with two beauties. Brother, I didn't expect your children to be so big. Peng Gang laughed. Su Yin laughed dryly. Anyway, he could not explain it clearly. Let him be. Brother Peng, then I will leave this place to you. Okay. I will call someone to start work. Peng Gang was very efficient. After a few calls, 7 or 8 workers came in less than half an hour. These people all called Su Yin boss Su. Su Yin took out 200 yuan and gave it to Xiaofei. He asked him to go to the shop not far away and buy a pack of Yushi cigarettes. Then he gave everyone a pack. Brothers, thank you for your hard work. Su Yin, I will thank you in advance. Do the work carefully. I will not miss out on the money. The group of workers did not stand on ceremony and accepted the cigarettes. Their impression of Su Yin increased by several times. Normally, they would only smoke 7 or 8 yuan of Hongtashan or Taishan General. They would definitely not be willing to buy a pack of Yushi cigarettes that cost 1 yuan. Su Yin gave the remaining 2 packs of cigarettes to Pang Gang. Pang Gang did not stand on ceremony and accepted them with a smile. Guogua could not stay still. While Ruan Qingxuang was cleaning the room, Guogua ran down the stairs. Cho Yun followed closely behind, afraid that she would fall. Chang. Su Yin called Chang to the side. Where is the 4th Wolf Gang's base? He no longer had the patience to play with the 4th Wolf Gang. Their attack on the medicinal cuisine house had completely angered Su Yin. Su Yin now only wanted to remove the 4th Wolf Gang. Only then could he completely relieve the anger in his heart. Chang's mischievous smile disappeared in an instant. He cautiously asked, Brother Yin, you can't be. But the 4th Wolf Gang is really not to be trifled with. Does my father need to ask you for permission to do anything? Guogua walked over with her hands behind her back. Humph, those bad guys ruined my mother's efforts. Father, we must teach them a lesson. Chang helplessly laughed. After all, a child was a child. She did not know how ruthless and vicious the 4th Wolf Gang was. You just need to tell us where those people are. Cho Yun also spoke. Her voice was emotionless and as cold as frost. She was very clear about what Su Yin wanted to do now. Since she could not repay Su Yin for saving her life, she could only help him in this matter. Chang could not help but feel sorry for Cho Yun's cold and arrogant temperament. He swallowed his saliva and said, Woof, Wang Xuanxi has a dog farm that specializes in domesticating Tibetan Mastiffs. It is in the development zone in the east. Domesticating Tibetan Mastiffs? Su Yun's mouth raised a sneer. It was bone-chilling. I will go with you. Cho Yun said lightly. Su Yin was stunned for a moment. He smiled and nodded. Okay. He now had a basic understanding of Cho Yun's character. She was the kind of person who would take revenge regardless of kindness or hatred. Otherwise, she would not have been so loyal to the Feng family's only child, Guogua, after Feng Qiansui was eliminated. Guogua heard this and clenched her small fist. I want to go too. Why are you going? Su Yin was speechless. Unless your mother agrees, I will not take you, Guogua said angrily. If you don't take me, I will tell my mother that you peeked at her bathing. As soon as she said this, Cho Yun and Chang were shocked and opened their mouths. Cho Yun was surprised and exclaimed, while Chang was envious and jealous. What? Su Yin was immediately dumbfounded. When did I peek at your mother bathing? Guogua looked like she had succeeded in her evil plan. There was a sly light in her eyes. Children don't lie, hee. As long as Dad agrees to take me, Guogua can help you peek in the future. Cho Yun rolled her eyes and sighed. She could never understand Guogua's behavior anyway. Su Yin touched his chin and pondered. Really? Of course. Guogua raised her eyebrows proudly. How about it? Deal. What else could Su Yin choose? She definitely had to bring this little burden along. If she offended her, she was capable of doing anything. Cho Yun didn't say anything. She knew that she couldn't persuade Guogua if she decided on something. With Su Yin and her protection, presumably Guogua wouldn't have any problems. If she followed, then so be it. Ruan Qingxuang found that Cho Yun and Guogua weren't there. She also went downstairs and saw several people at the door. She couldn't help but wonder. What are you doing? Cho Yun and I are taking Guogua out for a while. We will be back soon. Su Yin knew that Cho Yun definitely wouldn't lie, so he made up a reason. Guogua was very cooperative. We will be back soon. Mom will wait for Guogua at home. You can't be fickle. Don't use idioms if you don't know how to use them. Ruan Qingxuang really wanted to bang her head against the wall. Come back early, Cho Yun. You must take care of them. Cho Yun nodded. She was afraid that she couldn't take care of either of them. Su Yin quickly stopped a taxi by the roadside. The 3 of them directly got into the car and disappeared. Ruan Qingxuang didn't know where they were going, so she wasn't worried. Chang was different. He opened his eyes wide and swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. The Tibetan Mastiff domestication base was a legitimate wolf's den. Did they really go just like that? There were 3 people. And it was Brother Yin with a woman and a child. Chapter 32. When the taxi driver heard that Su Yun and the other two were going to the Tibetan Mastiff breeding base, he did not dare to neglect them. He drove carefully all the way. Su Yun could tell that the driver thought that they were from the Fourth Wolf Gang. Ordinary people could not afford to offend the Fourth Wolf Gang. After half an hour, the three of them arrived at their destination. The gate of the Tibetan Mastiff breeding base in the development zone was magnificent. The two huge iron gates were about 4 meters high and 5 meters wide. They were tightly closed, not even a crack could be seen. There were two majestic stone lions on the left and right of the gate, revealing a majestic aura. Wow, they are so big. After Guagua got out of the car, she ran to the stone lions and touched them with her small hands. She showed a look of disdain. "Tsk, they are not jade. They are too lame." Su Yun almost vomited blood when he heard that. If the two jade lions were this big, the price would be sky high. Bang bang bang. Guagua kicked the gate heavily. Immediately, dozens of fierce dogs barked in the kennel. It seemed that the scale of the kennel was not small. Guagua was frightened by the barking dogs. She quickly ran to Cho Yun, grabbed Cho Yun's clothes with one hand, patted her small chest with the other, and breathed a sigh of relief. "You scared me to death." Boom boom boom. With a loud bang, Su Yun raised his leg and viciously kicked the heavy iron door. The huge iron gate, which was fixed by cement piers on both sides, fell straight down. The iron gate fell to the ground with a loud bang. The whole Tibetan Mastiff breeding base was like an earthquake. The Tibetan Mastiff breeding base was in an uproar. The heroic atmosphere of hundreds of dogs barking was absolutely unimaginable. Those fierce dogs were barking fiercely. If they were not locked in the thumb-sized iron cages, they would have all rushed out to bite this uninvited guest. Guagua and Cho Yun were completely stunned. One of them was so surprised that her eyes almost popped out, while the other was so shocked that her jaw could not close. There was a deep slipper print on the heavy iron gate of the kennel. The two of them saw it clearly. What the hell? This didn't make sense. Did Daddy kick him just now? Is he human? Guagua believed that if her friends were here, they would definitely be stunned. Cho Yun, on the other hand, was speechless. Why did they have to use such a violent method to enter the door? When the gate of the Tibetan Mastiff domestication base collapsed, everyone in the base broke out in a cold sweat. After all, this place was the base of the Fourth Wolf Gang. After hearing the commotion, more than 100 people quickly gathered in the courtyard. Everyone was bewildered as they tried to guess how a man and two women, 2 adults and 1 child, managed to knock down the door. Guagua snorted and put her hands on her waist. "I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you small fries. How dare you touch my mother's medicinal cuisine restaurant? Tell your elder brother to come out. I think he doesn't want to live anymore." More than 100 hooligans stared at the little one in front of them. What an arrogant tone. Su Yun originally came with a murderous aura, but when he saw the little one's arrogance, he could not keep a straight face. "Didn't you hear what my daughter said? Tell Wang Xuanxi to come out." "Kid, do you know where this place is? It's not your place to behave atrociously here." With one person taking the lead, more than 100 people started to clamor crazily. The entire kennel was instantly in a mess. In the chaos, more than a dozen people had already gathered around, each of them with a cold and fierce look on their faces. The leader of the group was a shirtless man with a fierce dragon coiled around his back. He looked extremely frightening. "I brought people to smash the medicinal cuisine restaurant. If you want to see our boss, let's see if you have the ability to do so." Seeing this person stand out, more than 100 people could not help but cheer loudly. "Honke! Honke! Honke!" There was a very large office in the large-scale Tibetan Mastiff domestication base. Wang Xuanxi, who was sitting on the boss chair in the office, frowned. He did not know why there was such a loud commotion outside. He said to Wei Bing, who was sitting on the sofa and drinking tea, "Lao Si, go out and see what's going on. Could it be that Han Ke has caused some trouble? He probably thinks that he has done a meritorious deed by smashing the medicinal cuisine restaurant today, and is showing off." Although the bald fatty, Wei Lao Si, complained, he did not hesitate to get up. He put out the cigarette in his hand, got up, and walked out of the office. "Boss, Han Ke is a troublemaker. Why did you spend money to get him out? Chen Sampao said as he puffed out smoke. He had just gotten a mouthful of fake teeth, so he was a little uncomfortable talking. Humph, of course I won't waste money on him. Wang Xuanqi smiled sinisterly. That kid is someone who doesn't care about his life. He will definitely be of use in the future. Brilliant. Boss is still the best. Chen Sampao endured the pain in his mouth and smiled. Then he frowned. These dogs are really annoying. Boss, when are we going to sell this place? We can learn from Fan Nanjia and open a bathing center. I'll ask a few of the brothels I know to bring a group of northeastern girls and southern girls over. Business will definitely be booming. Isn't it more interesting than raising these animals? Moreover, we can play with those girls however we want. Play my ass. You only know how to *king play with women. Wang Xuanqi snorted and scolded. I will naturally have those things in the future, but the dog farm is my foundation. This will always be a legitimate business. Do you understand? I am different from Fan Nanjia and the rest. They are hooligans, but I, Wang Xuanqi, am a breeder. A breeder is an entrepreneur. Chen Sampao choked on the smoke. Cough. Cough cough. Entrepreneur? Boss, are you kidding me? An entrepreneur can arrange for people to smash a small restaurant? Ha ha ha. An entrepreneur like you can be considered to be the first in history. You won't understand even if I tell you. Sampao, let me tell you, in today's society, you can't do anything with your fists. Wang Xuanqi's ambition was not small. If I want people to look at me differently in Hudong City, I can't do the same thing as Fan Nanjia and the rest. Do you understand? I smashed that medicinal cuisine restaurant because that Su guy didn't know what was good for him. It's also because you guys didn't live up to expectations. I understand. Understand what? Chen Sampao took a puff of smoke and laughed. He only knew that the joy of life was eating, drinking, and playing with women. He was too lazy to worry about other things. Wang Xuanqi was speechless. Telling him this was like playing the lute to a cow. This kind of thing had to be discussed with Arii. Now that the bosses of the East, West, and North supported Fan Nanjia to be the #1 in the South 2nd District, of course, he was not satisfied. Later, go to the hospital and check on Arii. Let him leave the hospital as soon as he recovers. I want to discuss with him how to teach that Sugai a lesson. Okay. Speaking of this, Chen Sampao thought of the bastard who kicked him like a sandbag the other day. He unconsciously clenched his fists. Clang. The office door was pushed open by Wei Laosi. He looked as if he had seen a ghost and lost his soul. He shouted breathlessly, "Boss! No. It's not Han Kei who caused trouble. It's that guy from the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He tore down the door of our dog farm." What? Wang Xuanqi was instantly furious. He slammed the table and stood up. The sound just now was actually the sound of the door of his dog farm. Wei Laoxi's face was full of panic. It was no wonder that he was so scared. Ever since he lost half of his teeth to Su Yun's punch, he had been completely traumatized. He had never seen such a fierce person. Then the office was dead silent. Chen Sampao's fingers trembled, and the cigarette between his fingers fell to the ground. Speaking of fear, he had gone through the same life and death experience as Wei Laosi. He did not want to see that guy again in his life. He was simply a devil. Humph. This is my territory. It's not his turn to behave atrociously. Come, let's go out and have a look. Wang Xuanqi was the only one who could remain calm. After all, he was an old gangster and this was his territory. He did not believe that no matter how powerful Su Yun was, he was just one person. How could he behave atrociously in his territory? Chen Sampao and Wei Laoxi's legs were weak, but since their boss had spoken, they had to follow. This was a dog farm. Even if they let the dogs out, they could still bite Su Yun to death. Han Kei was recognized as the Iron Fist of Hudong City's underworld 3 years ago. He was ruthless and ruthless enough. He was also regarded as the most likely member of the younger generation to unify Hudong City. However, because he was too arrogant, he was sentenced to prison for causing serious injury. Wang Xuanqi spent money to get him out of prison. It was nothing more than a bargaining chip for his own ambitions. You were the one who destroyed the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Soo-yun finally spoke. He slowly raised his gaze. The moment his gaze fell on Han-Kei, it suddenly shot out several piercing cold lights. It was bone-chilling. Han-Kei originally had a fearless look, but he could not help but tremble under the other party's gaze. He had never seen such a fierce gaze before. It was as if the other party could kill him with just his gaze. "Daddy, hit him. When we get back, I'll show you Mommy's photo. I took it." Guogwa waved her small hand. When there was a great reward, there would definitely be brave men. This time Soo-yun was really angry. Even if there was no Wan Qingxuang's photo, he would definitely not let the bastard who destroyed the medicinal cuisine restaurant off the hook. Suddenly, a faint murderous intent appeared in Soo-yun's eyes. It was as cold as 10,000 galloping horses, and his aura was as imposing as an army of thousands. His anger suddenly exploded in an instant. Like a sudden storm from the sea, it attacked Han-Kei without warning. Han-Kei did not even see clearly what was happening in front of him. He felt a heart-wrenching pain in his lower abdomen. A second ago, Soo-yun, who was still a few meters away from Han-Kei, suddenly threw a punch. His fist was like a fierce wind as it hit Han-Kei's abdomen without warning. Han-Kei's body flew through the air with a huge twisting force. His entire body was thrown 7 to 8 meters away. The moment Han-Kei landed on the ground, he spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. 4 of his 2 rows of ribs had already been broken by Soo-yun's punch. However, the furious Soo-yun did not have any intention of stopping. He followed up with a kick and directly hit Han-Kei, who had just landed on the ground. The half-dead Han-Kei flew through the air again like a sandbag. With a loud crash, he slammed into the wall. Then he slumped against the wall like a puddle of mud, unable to stand up again. Instant kill. In the entire doghouse, other than the ferocious beasts who did not know how to behave, all the living creatures held their breaths. 3 years ago, the legendary Hudong dueling king Han-Kei was actually worse than a dead dog in front of an unknown fellow. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.